Send an invite real quick to Cosmic. See if you'd like to join me. If you are not familiar with, they are, well, I think it's just a guy. I think we're going to find out a little bit about just that one guy. Man, I look a mess, but fuck it. It's 10:57 and I'm at my house. I look like I've got a mullet. It's okay. I got weird hat hair. I don't care. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I got a lady upstairs. She's asleep. Oh, man. Uh, whew. Oh, peace. Ayatollah, how are you doing this evening, sir? I actually had a question that I wanted to ask you. I'm not sure who it was. It was, I won't call him like a trap rapper because it really kind of doesn't do anyone any good. But they were rocking with the same Aretha Franklin sample that you did for Fat Booty. But I wanted to know if you were getting anything from that, if you were getting any kind of any money, any love, any support, anything from that. I thought, I don't know, kind of wanted to know. It's not my business, but at the same time, I think that there are things that would not exist if not for other people. I mean, I get it. Nas said it first. No idea is original. So we're all just kind of going where we're going and doing what we're doing. But as it stands right now, I have got a fat ass bowl. I still got the cosmic sticker. No Stash Nietzsche, my brother in Calgary. Man. By the way, I posted our conversation on my YouTube channel because I thought it was really special. And I just want to say thank you for that. I enjoyed. By the way, you made it through your punk show. We didn't get nuked. I am using that as solid evidence, solid proof that nuclear weapons aren't real. In fact, you had a good time. You probably went home with a stranger, and they had a good time because nukes aren't real. You're welcome, my friend. By the way, this is a GMO punch from a cultivator called Snow-Capped Gardens. I am not familiar with them. For a second, I thought it was. I thought that I thought Snow-Capped Gardens was the cultivator or the. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I thought Snowcap was the cultivation that was owned by one of the members of 36 Crazy Fists. And that's actually the connoisseur. I was way off on that. The one, the only cosmic. I still have your sticker on this.
No, right on.
Yeah. Like I felt like I need to show the world like I got an official cosmic pipe. Like
I
just
am
so
Jeremiah, by the way.
Jeremiah, it is. I didn't know whether to call you Cosmic or Jeremiah. I'm Bill. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time. When I first moved to Alaska and I got out of the military, your pipes were the first pipes that really stuck out to me. And
Right
so,
on.
so finally, like getting my hands on one and like getting like on the bulb and shit, I see what it's about and I get it. Like I understand why people buy more than one.
Right on.
It's a dope pipe. I'm a busy guy. I got a lot of shit going on, and it's taken abuse better than a '95 Dodge Neon.
Yeah, I've been blowing glass in Alaska since like 1999. It's been a while.
How'd you get into it?
I was working in a liquor store. It's a crazy story, but my origin story is I was working in this liquor store. I was like 21 years old, and I saw a glass of 99 High Times. I actually have it right here. I'll show it to you.
All right.
And I saw this on the shelf, and I opened it up, and it was guys in there blowing glass in a garage or something. And I was like, man, I'm working in a liquor store. This sucks. and that looks really fun. So I went down to the local the local shop at the time. It was the Black Market, and I asked them where they got their pipes, and it turns out they got them from an old hippie named Ira, who had a company called Macaw Glass at the time, and he was based out of Willow, Alaska. And they gave me his card, and then I called the guy up, and I was like, "Hey, would you teach me how to blow glass?" And he's like, "Well, you should come out here and watch me first." And he invited me out to his studio. And so I went out there with my girlfriend at the time, and I married that chick, and then I divorced her about last year. But we were married for like 21 years. But I went out there with her, watched the guy blow a pipe, and I was blown away, man. I was like, man, I want to learn how to do this. And I asked him if he'd teach me. And he's like, yeah, give me $2,000 and I'll teach you everything I know. So I scraped the money together, and I paid him $2,000. And I was out there with that guy for like 3 months in his little tiny shack in front of his cabin, watching him blow glass, and he taught me like what he knew. And that's how I started.
So as far as investments go, do you think that was $2,000 well spent?
Yeah, I would say so.
So $2,000 in 3 weeks, you essentially went to college, or I'm sorry, 3 months, you essentially went to college to learn how to do this trade, and you've been doing it ever since. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Some people get stuck being accountants.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky.
How did you go from blowing a couple of pieces to having pieces that are distributed throughout the state, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about how the legalization, the vote for legalization in 2014 and the eventual legalization in 2015 impacted your business, if that's cool to talk about.
Yeah, I talk about anything, man. I don't got nothing to hold back. It's no secret. I want to see other people win too, and I'm trying to win in my own way. So I mean, everybody's on their own road. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But as far as how I got into all these places, well, my ex-wife used to make all the sales calls, and that's what we did. She'd work in her office for like an hour a day making calls to different shops all around Alaska and all around the country. And, you know, every 100 calls, we might get one company that said yes. And we just kept making calls and kept making calls. And then, you know, we got on a first name basis with a lot of these people. And I was having my finger on the button of the industry since it started. Like, I just saw opportunity, you know, because I'd been in the regular pipe industry for like a long time. And I'd only been selling to a couple shops. Like Planet X was one of my foundation shops in Anchorage. I got mad love for Planet X. They've been doing business with me since I started. But I used to be in like the Planet X, really neat stuff. The Black Market. I mean, there was only like 3 or 4 stores in the beginning, man, that I was even selling to, and it was like a part-time kind of gig. I barely made any money. I was starving.
When do you think that you transition from starving into like professional? You're paying your bills. This is your career. How long did it take to go from like passion to profit, if that makes sense?
I mean, I would say probably 2016. Like, it took like 15 or 16 years before it went to a point where I could rely on the business itself to pay my bills and do all the stuff in a way where I wasn't, you know, no longer struggling as an artist like I had been in the past. Like, I mean, I really had to suffer to get to where I am today, obviously. It was a lot harder when there was only 4 stores, you know what I mean, to sell my stuff to. And I didn't have the thought process at the time to even consider selling my work out of the city or out of the state.
Has the internet changed the way you do business, or the way that you operate, or the way that you sell pipes?
For sure. Like, I can Google how many pipe shops are in, you know, Los Angeles, or how many are in Idaho, how many are in Florida, just from my phone. And that's definitely a new thing in just the last couple of years, you know, that we've started to take advantage of.
Do you think that being an Alaskan artist, do you think that sets you apart? I mean, obviously geographically, but do you think that it sets you apart from the rest of your peers in maybe in the lower 48 glass blowing community? Because
I would say
like,
so, man. I've definitely felt like I'm separate from the rest of my peers being up here in Alaska. It being so difficult to like get out of here. You know what I mean?
absolutely. I
I
work with. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I work with a lot of musicians, a lot of rappers, a lot of artists of all different sort, and a lot of martial arts. And the thing is the struggle in the dark up here, right? There's a long period of time where you have a lot of time in the dark, and you can get really good at something, or you can just waste time.
Right,
And
and you don't know.
yeah.
You don't know if you're going to succeed, man. And I mean, I thought I was going to fail so many times, but I just kept going. I wanted to give up. You know what I mean?
What was the thing that kept you from doing that, from saying, fucking, I'm out?
Just the fact that I'd already invested so much time and like, I didn't want to quit. Like this, I put everything into it. I'm crazy. I guess a lot of people would say I'm crazy.
So one of my economics professors says that, you know, like not taking the shot, right? You risk more not taking the opportunity than taking the risk. Like not taking the risk, you risk more than taking it, right? If you try and you fail, if nothing else, then you learned a way that it didn't work. Like you probably learned 50 different things that didn't work before you found the 50 things that worked.
Absolutely. I've tried everything to succeed, man, and I've failed so many times. I've been really open, but it's taught me a lot. You know what I mean? Like having failed all those times and having starved, putting it all in, and then losing, it teaches you a lesson. It definitely teaches you what not to do again.
Yeah.
But I kept going.
So what were some of the lessons that you learned being an entrepreneur, specifically in an industry that really didn't necessarily exist and still in a lot of places doesn't exist? If we're talking about pipes, then you're talking about a lot of places that still don't have are behind the times with their laws, but B, you're selling to a niche market that is outside of the market, if that makes sense, like an unaccountable market.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of forgot what my question, like where
Yeah.
I was going with the question. But I think it kind of had to do with you know, like as like Alaska has opened up. Like you mentioned 2016 was like the year. And 2016 was also the year you started seeing dispensaries open up. Like it wasn't just like the Alaska Cannabis Club. It wasn't just by the way, shout out to Potluck. You know, like it wasn't like it was just them. Like it was just the gray area that existed. It was black market, and then it was gray area, and then it goes to 2016, 2017. Really, retail started opening up. Like, how much did that change for your output to like what you were selling?
Oh, 100%, man. Like suddenly I didn't have, you know, just 4 stores to sell to. I wasn't living on a limited budget. I was able to start selling pretty much at that point in my career, everything I make as fast as I make it. And I'm still at that point right now. Like I can't make enough glass. I'm limited by my ability to produce.
That's a good problem.
It is a problem, and it's a serious one. Like I've tried to train people a few times. I've gotten guys like trained up. I've gotten girls trained up, and it's hard to keep good people. You know that. In any industry, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. When you're trying to bring people on, it's difficult to work with people and get them, you know, as passionate about the job as you are.
Well, I think that a lot of people they have an idea of like it's immediately going to be a success. Like whatever they're going to do, it's immediately going to be a success. And the second they hit a roadblock, they stop. And so like years ago, I started like promoting shows down here and doing other things to keep me from having to become an accountant or get one of those shit jobs. Mm-hmm. Like those soul sucking like misery jobs. Cause I've had those soul sucking misery jobs and I don't ever want to do that again. So I started promoting comedy shows, started promoting concerts, started really doing the podcast. And I know that if I stop doing that, right, like I know that nothing is going to happen if I don't make it happen, right?
Sure.
That space is going to be empty. If you don't make that pipe, that space is going to be empty in the store, or it's going to be filled by someone else who's not trying to put food in your pocket or put food in your mouth and money in your pocket.
Right.
And you know, I think that some people, when they start doing something, because I've had a lot of people like you with pipes hit me up and ask me about podcasts, and they'll get into like 2 or 3 episodes, and then they stop doing it because they immediately thought, or they thought just because they were going to do something, they were going to have the world's attention.
Right.
Rather than, and not work on contributing anything to the conversation, just making something to make something, which is fine, because you still have to start by making something, but never getting past the, I don't know, I don't want to call it like the becoming a professional at whatever it is that you are trying to become a professional at, if that makes sense.
I've recently started doing these Instagram lives just to engage my audience, which doesn't seem to be that engageable. You know, live streaming on Instagram, I don't think I've ever seen more than 5 or 6 people in there at once. And maybe I'm using the wrong platform, I don't know, but I'm doing that so that people can access me and talk to me, and they can see my process, because I've always wanted to blow glass in front of people, but I've never been able to do it. I've always worked out of my garage.
Well, I think that you're going to start seeing more people that are watching you do it, because if nothing else, it's like on some Bob Ross shit. It's just relaxing.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've watched you blow glass. I've spent like 20 minutes watching you blow glass, because it's on some Bob Ross shit. It's fucking relaxing. Just
That's
you know, like just in the background, like whatever that, and it, you know, it's the noise in the background, but it's there. Like I've sat through and I've watched it, but I think that Reddit would probably be the platform to watch you blow glass. Like that seems to be like that would be more so than Instagram. Yes, of course. But what you're doing blowing glass it's not necessarily one-on-one engaging. But I think maybe if you headline it, you know, blowing glass, ask me any questions, and just let people know as soon as they come in that if you have any questions, there's that chat box, and you can work and you can answer questions at the same time.
Right. I've been trying to get more engagement that way too.
And that's kind of how I came like in contact with you, because I didn't know that you were still making pipes. Like I thought I got this cool cosmic pipe, and he disappeared into the middle of, you know, to the ether, right? And so now I see, okay, you're still not only blowing pipes, but your shit has gotten bigger and badder. Like, you know, the world is watching you. So yeah, people are watching, and people are connecting, and people, you know, if they know how to get to your stuff, like is very, very important. I can say out loud, I've got a cosmic pipe. It's the best pipe that I have ever purchased, and I bought the pipe techs, the Prometheus. I'm pretty sure I've had some grabs in my lifetime.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But this is it's a cool pipe, and it feels good in my hand. And the guys I know that are really heavy smokers who invest a lot of money in their dabware, they all have cosmics that they smoke their weed out of.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you have a reputation among connoisseurs. Like there's a reason that your pipes are expensive, and it's, you know, they're hand blown in Alaska, individually made. Yes, but they're quality, which is why you can charge a premium. I was put off by the price when I first saw it. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, because I was new to all of it, right? Like I had just got left like one of those soul sucking jobs and moved to Alaska, and
I've always been a wholesaler, man, so I've never been able to help control the pricing of my product.
Well, they can charge. Here's the thing: is they can charge
whatever they want.
Yeah, and people will obviously pay for it.
And I've never had a website. I mean, like this Instagram, I've had a few people hit me up and be like, "Could I buy a pipe?" And I mean, I'm open and receptive to that, but it's not something that happens every day.
How often do you ever get hit up for like custom work?
Actually, I just sent out a bubbler to a girl in Arizona last week. She's like, "Will you make me a bubbler?" I said, "Yeah, $200. I'll make you a bubbler all day." And she's like, she sent me the money like Facebook Pay, like right then and there. She sent me $200. I was like stoked. I'm like, that's awesome. And she gave me complete artistic freedom to make her this bubbler. And then she sent me a video of her smoking out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was super stoked.
You have people like all over the states that are letting you know they enjoy your stuff. And so obviously your social media platform is working because a chick in Arizona is asking you to make her a very special bubbler and giving you creative freedom.
Yeah, she didn't ask me to do one thing to it. She just said she wanted a bubbler, and I told her a price, and she said absolutely.
She trusted you as an artist. You have a reputation. Congratulations, you've earned it, sir.
Thank you.
So what do you think was the most important thing, the most important factor in earning your reputation?
I guess the fact of quality control, man. I mean, I'm really, really picky about what I put out of this shop. And if there's something I don't like, I'll throw it right in the trash. I mean, and it's repetition, really, man. I'm doing the same process over and over again. The same process. It's like filling a cup.
Yeah, but each cup is not the same as the last cup, and no two cups are the same.
They're all different.
That's the beautiful thing. Like you talk about it like it's just a process, but none of these two pieces are ever going to be the same. The piece that I have, you're never going to make another one that looks just like it. Maybe you use the same ingredients, maybe you use a same technique, but it's not going to look like this.
Right.
And I love this thing. And the lady in Arizona loves her shit, and the dude in Florida loves his. Sorry.
It's all good.
Damn. Sorry, it's the GMO. It's the GMO punch. I'm gonna give it the GMO punch. I'm gonna give that the credit. That and coffee at 11 o'clock.
That's hilarious. I've been actually recently making something new. I'll show you. Check it out.
All right. Okay.
It's a shot glass.
That's what I thought. I mean, I thought it was a cup. Okay. Whoa. What inspired this? Just doing something different? Or?
I was inspired by another glass artist and a friend of mine. And I seen this guy out of, I think he's in Oregon. His name's Eli Mazet, I believe. But he makes these shot glasses, and he's pretty well known for it. And I was kind of inspired by his work. And I was like, I can make a shot glass. Here's a different one. What do you think?
That's
I've
cool.
shown these to anyone. I just started making them. I'm up to number 11.
That's fucking cool, man. Do you drink?
No, I'm sober. I haven't had any alcohol since 2013.
2014 for me, but yeah, I dig it. This shit's medicine, man. Like, this shit's medicine in a really real way. That's, oh my gosh.
And I thought that would be even more cosmic. You know what I mean? If I got like suddenly making these shot glasses and people want to buy them, and I don't even drink alcohol. And it's nice for me to make something different. Here's a chillum I just made. Check this out.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool.
That's a chillum. It's got 3 crowns on each side of it.
Oh, that's real cool.
But yeah, I make a lot more stuff than just the spoons, but that's really what's kept me going this whole time. Everybody wants to buy a spoon.
Do you have a preferred method to smoke cannabis?
I actually can't smoke cannabis right now. I'm on probation.
Okay. All right.
I had some fucked up shit happen to me like a year ago, and I ended up on probation, and now I can't smoke for like another year.
Okay. So then I guess the question becomes, like, in a year,
What
a
am I
year
going to smoke?
Well, what do you think would be the first method? Do you think like, I mean, I see you're popping out the stogie right now. Or are you like, all right, I'm just gonna roll a great big blunt on a great big classy cigar?
No, this is a
Or
cigar. I would smoke a joint. I always like to smoke joints. I used to smoke a lot of joints.
okay, fair enough.
And I do obviously smoke a lot of bowls. I mean, I do enjoy to use my products, you know?
Yeah. Now, of the products that you make, like, do you have a preferred method? Do you like chillums? Do you like steamrollers? Do you?
This is called a roach killer. It's the most economical, best way to sample my product. You ever seen one of these?
No.
I invented this. It's just a bent tube with a little flared bowl in it.
Just throw your roach in there and not
It'll
burn
kill your roach. It's called a roach killer.
That's awesome.
I used to sell a lot of them, but it's not a product I push that very much anymore. But I think I sell them for like $7 or something wholesale to the stores.
Do you have a list of the stores in Alaska that are currently carrying your product?
I do. I don't know if it's current right now as of today, but it's current as of 2019. But I think I'm in like 50 of them that I can say right now. It might be even more.
Are there any specifics
I can send it to you.
Okay,
is there
please.
What?
Are there any specifics you want to shout out? You have Planet X for certain because that's home base. You gotta send love. It's the Brooklyn way.
Well, I gotta send mad love to Deja Vu Cannabis. I love those guys. I love Magical Gardens out in Kenai, Alaska. I was recently out there. I got to send some love out to the Houston Grass Station. Those guys definitely gave me some love back in January. I got to send some love up to Good AK Cannabis. Those guys have always been really supportive. And I got to send some love out to the Stony Moose. Those guys have definitely supported me in the Mason jar in my lowest of times. I had some of these people right there, you know, rooting for me. Going through my divorce was really rough. I had a pretty screwed up year, man. It got really sad and depressing, but somehow I kept going.
Dude, you're here because clearly people in your personal network, people that love you, don't want you hurting, right? Divorces suck, man. I'm on marriage number 2 myself, like, and I took a lot of pain and a lot of shit with me in the first marriage, and my wife, I'm sure, took a lot of shit
Right.
from her first marriage into this. So, you know, like those things are tough, and those are very painful things to go through. But yes, Stony Moose, I can speak. Their products are phenomenal. Like the milks are very, very cool. And they're just in a they're in a cool place. They're in Ketchikan.
Yeah,
right?
I want to
Like,
go there. I want to go there at some point in my career and go visit and check it out.
so my wife and I went there on a cruise, like our first time coming to Alaska before we made the decision to move up here. And Ketchikan was just like a postcard place, man. It was just aesthetically one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, make it out there. Yeah, dude, by the way, thank you so much for your time. Like you could be in your garage making money right now, like because you're selling them as fast as you make them. Like you were wasting your time with me, you know.
No. I got to step out of my box, man. And this is one thing my divorce has taught me is to like step completely out of the fucking way of where I was before and do it different. Like when I was married, I mean, she had me like with 12 orders up at all times. I never left my shop. I had people dropping the glass off for me. It was a whole different freaking life. Now I'm in a whole different place.
Man, I'm grateful you're in a whole different place. I'm grateful you're doing your thing on Instagram and sharing it, like letting people see what you do. Because I think that like there's a reason that you have your reputation. There's a reason people say I've got a couple of cosmics, all right, and it's the sort of thing they've been saying for years. So thank you for what you are continuing to do. And the therapy of getting through it is very, very important. Like what else, how else do you recommend like getting out of a dark place? Like how do you, when you say get out of your like space, like to go, if you could give me an example of like one place from the other, like you were talking about knocking out 12 orders, having 12 orders at a time. Like how did you unpack and unwind and unplug from that now that you didn't before?
As far as like when I was dealing with that, like how did I unwind, or like now today?
Yes. Well, I mean, because you weren't unwinding before. If you weren't unwinding before, how did you start to unwind, and then how do you do it now? Like, how has that transformed into? Has it transformed into different hobbies or that sort of thing?
No, my hobby is blowing glass, and my job is blowing glass, and I like doing it. I can't say that anything else. I mean, it's all consuming, man. That's it. 100%. It's 200%. All day, every day. It's not like I'm going snowboarding. I used to like that, but shit, I don't even go snowboarding. I'm like, man, I'm gonna stay in the studio. It's consuming.
Do you feel?
I used to like to drive around in my Cadillac. I have a Cadillac 1973 Fleetwood. I would drive around in that and smoke cigars, and that made me feel good. That was my pressure release. But yeah, it wasn't enough. I lost my shit. I went a little off the deep end, and yeah, I ended up going to jail for 2 months, and then I ended up divorced. And this is kind of what was the catalyst for that. But yeah, I was so stressed out that I freaking literally lost my shit. I was walking down the street, like twitching, picking up cigarette butts, blocking traffic. I don't even know what happened to me. Straight up break from reality.
So what do you credit with bringing you from that place to where you are now? What are some of the things
I'd say my family for sure, man. I don't think I would have made it this far without my family. My mom and my dad, my sister, my kids. I mean, my ex-wife pretty much washed her hands of me. She was like, I'm done with you. You're in your crazy butt, and I don't like this lifestyle we're living anymore. She didn't like the work. It's a lot of work doing, and I can see why she, wanted to leave. It's not easy. It's a hard life trying to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. I mean, it's not for everybody. And I thought, she was my ride or die till the end, but she wasn't.
So how do you have you looked at like have you shit? So you handle all your orders and everything yourself? Like is everything through Cosmic is
it's through me. I got the hoodie on and everything.
Just a walking billboard. Just letting the world know.
I walked into Hatcher's Grass today, and I was like with my friend, and she was like buying some weed, and then as like an aside, I was like, "Hey, I'm Cosmic Glass. Do you guys want to carry some local pipes? Because I sell glass and I live right down the street." And he's like, "Dude, I bought one of your pipes 10 years ago." That was crazy.
But now they have a face, man.
And they never had one before. I never showed people my face before. I never left the studio. I never did Instagram Live, and I barely did social media until 2014.
And here we are selling pipes to ladies, bubblers to ladies in Arizona, and meeting people who've owned your works for 10 years. And that's the other thing worth pointing out. It's durable.
Right.
Durable. Yeah.
And recently, I forgot to shout out Green Degree. I got to give mad love to Green Degree in Wasilla. They've been a supporter of Cosmic for a while. I've been posting up some of their pictures. I seen they posted a picture of like some of their people holding a pipe. You know what I mean? And it's nice to see other people helping me with that. I'm just one guy. I can't really, take pictures of my pipes outside and post them on Instagram all the time. So I'm doing what I can with the social media. It's difficult to do it all yourself.
I mean, it's got to be cool to find people that are supportive of what you're doing, though. Like if, you've been in these businesses and you've developed relationships. If you were talking to an entrepreneur, what do you think are the most important things in developing a relationship with businesses that you want to continually do services with?
I would say, you know, communication is 100% it. You know, you got to be making sure they're happy and making sure my clients are satisfied, calling up and checking that they got the order. And if anything broke, you know, is there something else we can do next time? What are the people buying? I mean, feedback is key, and it's really nice to get some feedback once in a while. And that's just something that recently started to happen, where they would like tell me what's up. Like, your big pipes aren't moving, the smaller ones are. So we're going to, you know, sell more of the small pipes, and that's fine. I mean, I want to obviously cater to each individual market as best I can.
I think that's really important. I think like in a lot of things, it's, you know, people try to like focus on, oh, I need to get stronger where I'm weak. But if you're really strong somewhere, it's okay to be really strong there. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry,
No,
it's late.
I follow you, and it's not too late. It's only 11:30.
That's true. That's true. Um, been running around with a baby all day, man. Don't mind me.
It's
I
all
was an
good.
idiot and had kids in my 40s. Like, don't.
I have four. How many do you got?
So the wife and she's pregnant now, and I think this will be 7.
Wow.
I think this,
Congratulations.
well, we're a big blended family, right? Like, it's cool. Like, I've got farm hands, we've got chickens. It's cool, you know. And for me, it's trying to, like, for everybody, it's trying to be supportive where they need. If it's, you need a ride here, because if you got kids in school doing sports, making sure they're getting to where they need to go to do the things that they need to do, so that everybody can trust the process. Like, if there's a process to go through, whatever your end goal is, right? Just about, maybe not glass blowing, but a lot, or podcasting, really. Like, there's a lot of careers have a path to success, right? There's a long-term path to success, and there are blueprints. There are 300 blueprints to get you to where you want to go. Someone has already written a book on how to get to where you want to go, and I think that a big part of it is trusting that process, like trusting the people who have made the mistakes before you get to make them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I try to learn from other people's mistakes for sure, so I don't have to repeat that pattern.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it took me a long time to learn that. Like, it took me a long time to, like, to not just learn from my own mistakes, but to learn from other people's mistakes as well. It wasn't like I was a smart human being from birth and like I just knew to observe. But yeah, I wasted a lot of time and did a lot of stupid shit. So yeah, I get it. So what are you smoking?
I'm smoking a cigar. I pulled the band off. I don't even remember what it's called. But I like to smoke cigars. I smoke like one a day.
Do you have a preference? I mean, like, do you have a brand, Arturo Fuente or Davidoff or, you know, whatever?
I've been buying this brand, Diesel Unholy Cocktail. I bought like 3 boxes of these.
What is
How
it
about you?
about them?
What's that?
What is it about them?
I don't know. I think it has something to do with my childhood. My dad used to smoke cigars when I was a kid.
My dad smoked cigars as well. He still smokes cigars. Yeah. So when I was younger, I'd smoke Davidoffs with him. I grew up in Germany, so like you could get Cuban cigars there, and so you could get a Romeo and Julieta, like, and they weren't like crazy expensive. You still had the Deutschmark. So like as a kid at 17, smoking cigars, like looking through my dad's copy of Cigar Aficionado, learning about like Joey Pantoliano and why The Sopranos is the greatest show of all time. But yeah, like, so I understand. Yeah, I dig cigars. I don't smoke them, and I don't normally smoke cannabis either. I'm normally like an oils or not at all guy. But I figured I'm with you, and if I'm going to be hanging out with you, even in like a virtual space, I need to enjoy some good cannabis in my good pipe.
I like it.
Yeah.
So do you ever make it
So
up to Wasilla? I'd love to give you a tour of my studio. You could check it out.
I'd love to see your studio. So initially I was supposed to make it up to Wasilla. Actually tonight, a buddy of mine is scheduled to fight at the Ace Fights in Wasilla this evening. Yeah, so I was hoping to make it up there with him. However, here I am at home with my wife upstairs asleep.
It
I'm gonna
happens.
wake her up to South Park. You know what? I'm just gonna wake her up to South Park. Baby, it's Friday night, and Daddy needs to know what's up with Kyle Broflovsky's family.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I didn't even know it was Friday until somebody reminded me.
How much time do you how much time do you spend in the studio?
I get up at like 6 and I'm out here till like 7 or 8. And I stop at noon. I go run 5 miles on my treadmill, and then I have lunch, and then I come back to the studio and I work till 7. I leave the studio to go get groceries, to go to the bank, to do the normal people shit.
How important is the 5 mile run?
It's pretty important for my head. It keeps me grounded.
Is that something that you started doing as for coping or to get out of your space?
No, it was something I did even when I was married. Just I don't have time to join a gym. I mean, it's $200 a month. I want to join the Alaska club, so I'm hoping my orders get high enough so where I can afford to go to the nice club because they got a pool there. You know what I mean?
No, I live in Soldotna. That sounds amazing. A gym with a pool? That sounds wonderful. No, no, we don't have a lot down here. That sounds delightful. So I know about the Alaska Club. I know that it exists, and it's one of the nicer gyms in Anchorage and in the area.
It's the nicer one out here in Wasilla too.
So
I had to go get a charger for my phone, but I'm all plugged in now.
So if you want, I have some friends that own MMA gyms in Wasilla. If you want to get some time on a bag, it's a hell of a workout. I don't know if you've ever wanted to try jujitsu, but choking people and getting choked is amazingly therapeutic. Learning to choke, learning to get into the place that you need to be to choke. And then when you get good enough to fake a choke so that you can get to a position so that you can get to a choke, again, it's really therapeutic because you're you're playing chess with somebody who's also trying to choke you or break your arm or take your leg home. But you're also training with somebody who wants to see you there tomorrow, so they're not going to try real hard to take your leg home. So I call it murder yoga. It's a hell of a workout. It's a hell of a stretch. And again, learning something new and practicing something new is, 3 times a week is hella therapeutic. It's just, so here I am, a rookie, and I'm getting choked by kids, some 15-year-old kid wants to choke me. Fuck, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it, especially if this kid knows how to choke. However, now I've got to get to this place where I'm not getting choked, and now I can do the choking.
Then you do that down there, huh?
Yeah. I do that down here. I go to a place called Redemption. We had a 10th Planet here, which was fantastic. However, the owner coach went back to Austin. So at Redemption, got some great coaches. And in Wasilla, you've got Matsu MMA. You've got Crazy Kid Boxing. I don't know where Jared Simmons' gym is. Jared Simmons is the guy that does almost all of the refereeing for any combat sport in Alaska, whether it's MMA, boxing, or professional wrestling. He's the guy in the striped shirt. There's no one with more time inside of a ring in the state of Alaska. Yeah. So
I'd say for me, the therapy was just going back into my studio and blowing glass, man. That's what helped me pull out of my dark place, was just getting back behind my torch and putting it all into that.
That's awesome.
That's what pulled me out. I just put it all, my sad thoughts, all my emotion back into the pipes and tried to bring the best that I could produce.
Did it stop? Did it stop becoming fun, or for a time, or?
You know, when I was 12 orders up, I got to say there was a point in my career where I was like sad all the time. Like I felt trapped and lonely. I didn't have anybody to talk to. It was just me grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. I mean, sometimes my parents would call me and check on me, but nobody else did. And after my divorce, like all the friends kind of just disappeared, man. You know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I found myself all alone.
And I can only like speak for me. Like when I went through my divorce, right? Yeah, I was a miserable fuck. Like I couldn't blame people for not wanting to hang out with me. Like I was heavily drinking. I was, my obnoxious asshole volume was turned all the way up. And I was just a miserable fuck to be around. Just an angry, miserable human being.
I was just sad. I was very sad all the time. Like I ended up with custody of my two younger kids, but my two older daughters decided to stay with their mom. So I don't even see my girls that much anymore. They're 12 and 14.
Yeah, I've got a 16-year-old in Texas. It sucks, man.
So I got to say that's probably been the saddest part of this divorce for me, not having any more contact or communication with my 14-year-old who doesn't want to see me no more. So that's been pretty rough. And I taught all my kids how to blow glass, man. And apparently they thought that was kind of child abuse to have them work in the studio for like an hour a day. I was trying to teach them a learnable skill. You know what I mean? And my little son, he's 9. He knows how to blow glass pretty good. He's the one kid out of the 4 that's like really into it. My 6-year-old, she wants to blow glass, but she's a little too little.
I understand that part as well. That's really cool that he does that.
Yeah, he makes marbles and magnets. He's a little hustler. He says he wants to make his first $1,000 this year.
So explain the magnets. He's making magnets?
Yeah, I'll show you one.
Please do.
There's a magnet glued onto the back of this little flattened disc of glass, and it goes right on your refrigerator.
Okay, that's right.
And then I glue a magnet to the back of it. I had Tip Top Pot Shop out here like 2 weeks ago, and they bought a few $100 worth of glass. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. And I like having people come to visit me, So that's something new about my business that's new. I'm all open to having shops come out to my house now and talk to me. Like before, I was against that. I didn't even want to fucking meet people. I was just like, I'm too busy for that.
Do you find that you like people?
I do. I'm a fucking people person. So it's nice to talk to people, right? I mean, like I said, this is my only job. That's why I started doing my live streaming.
I'm glad you started doing your live streaming.
I want to talk to people.
Yeah. I'm going to plug my phone in because I'm pretty sure my battery's dying as well.
I'm going to grab another cigar. I'll be right back.
All right. By the way, everyone that's tuned in, thank you very much. Trying to ask good questions. Good questions. By the way, if anyone has any questions, because we actually have people watching this, which is pretty cool.
We do have a couple people. I just noticed that.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, by all means, drop them in the text. So what is it about the diesels you enjoy enough to buy 3 boxes of?
I don't know. They taste kind of like Cubans to me, and I've had like 1 or 2 Cuban cigars in my life.
I couldn't. I have zero recollection of what they taste like. So when I was in Iraq, they had bootleg Cuban cigars, or if they were real Cuban cigars, I don't know how long they had been in Iraq. Like how long has this thing ain't fresh. This ain't hanging out in a humidor. All right. You are selling it to me at an open air market in Iraq. I know this hasn't been handled with care. But yeah, so everything was bootleg, which was awesome because at least you could at least you could feel for a minute like you were getting something or anything. I don't know. I never smoked them. They seem mildly dangerous to
smoke.
get the cigars. Well, to get the cigars like um from that market. So, but however, like in Qatar, like they were everywhere. You get, everywhere, just like grocery stores sold Cuban cigars.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, they were. I mean, they had everything.
I'm going to Vegas here in a couple days. I'm hoping I can find one. I haven't left the state in like 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Dude, it's weird leaving the state. I've been up here, like I don't leave the state very often since I moved up here, but yeah, every time I go, every time I leave the state, it's like going to another planet. Like I've really liked my small planet of Soldotna, Alaska, population 3,000.
Right.
However, like when I'm visiting my kid in Dallas, I'm like, what the fuck? Like there's more people, there's more than that at this shopping center.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate it, man. I hate it.
I'm sure I'm going to have a little culture shock when I get there, but I think I'm in good hands. I got a new friend, so it's all good.
That's awesome. Fuck yeah. Is your friend from Vegas?
Yeah, she came up here to see me last week.
Oh, dude. So, like, you have someone who's going to show you around. That's the shit. So, like, I was passing through Vegas. I had a buddy that was stationed there. So we hit up the the buffet at, like, the Bellagio. Just went stupid. I didn't know this dude had a PT test the next day, but we were getting drunk and hitting up the buffet. Poor guy. But yeah, like anytime you can go to a place like Vegas with a local, you're solid. You're taken care of. You're gonna have a good time.
Right. And I'm gonna try to set up some new accounts while I'm there too. We'll see if I can find some people that might want to do some business with me. So we'll see what happens. I make magic wands too. That's some things that the people of Alaska haven't seen yet. I could show you when you want to see.
Wait, you have magic wands? Okay. So we're gonna have to go through the whole like. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
It's got a big old crystal on the end of it.
So I'm supposed to head up to Anchorage tomorrow at some point. I don't know when that's going to work. My wife is I love my wife. She's a great big nerd. Like, just a gigantic nerd. And she's like a big Harry Potter dork as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk about wands and stuff. Those are beautiful. Let's run through the inventory. What do you make? Like, we're not just.
What do I make? Let me see. I got a catalog right here. Here's my catalog.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I got packages. I make spoons, small, medium, and large. I make clear chillums. I make work chillums. I make artistic freedom pipes. I make cosmic steamrollers. I make bubble caps. I make dab straws with feet. I make dabbers. I make 14mm glass slides, 19mm glass slides. I make 9.5mm slides. I make roach killers. I make glass filter tips. I sell hoodies. I sell cosmic keychains, cosmic magnets, and cosmic stickers. And that's pretty much the rundown of my catalog.
And then we're gonna get into magic wands.
And the magic wands aren't even on the fucking list, man. I haven't even ever tried to sell them. I just made them because it was fun.
You should try to sell them because that looks cool.
I was gonna try to sell them down there. I'm trying to get up an appointment with this crystal shop, so we'll see if that pops off. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be really, really cool.
I'm trying to do things that are fun.
So I promote events down here, right? Like that's one of the many gigs that I do, and that's kind of my motto for everything. It's like it has to be fun. Mm-hmm. Right? It has to be fun for the performer. It has to be fun for the sponsors. I don't want someone to sponsor my event who's not going to come to the event, right? I want you to participate in it. It's a community. We're getting together for fun. So I work with, and I get great comedians from the Valley, great comedians from Anchorage. We bring them to town. We have a food vendor for the night. So we're at a nice, awesome, classic Alaskan dive bar with gourmet hot dogs and really heavy. Well, I don't drink, but other folks seem to have heavy drinks. Heavy drink. People enjoy it. But the whole thing is, if the performers are having fun, if the sponsors are having fun, people are just going to have fun. The audience is going to have fun. If I'm not having fun, I don't want to be involved in it. I don't like promoting concerts for people I don't want to listen to. I like to look forward to the show, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense.
And so I'd hate to and I don't want to attach my name to shit that I didn't have fun being involved with.
And I haven't done that yet either. That's why I've pretty much stayed away from it. I haven't had the right people with the right vibe approach me in the right way to make it happen yet. But I think there's still the possibility that it could happen. Like, this shop came out and they asked me, they hadn't even really bought my glass. They're like, would you come below glass at our thing? And I'm like, yeah, for $5,000. I'm not just going to come appear for nothing. And I don't know these people.
You've got to move gear. You've got I
got a big shop I got to bring down and fucking set up somewhere. And plus I got to shut my business down for like a day or 2 or 3. So it's like, I need to be paid if I'm going to do that kind of thing for people.
100%. It's yeah, you're a professional. It's the sort of thing that you have to show up with some people want you to put on a show, put on a display.
Right.
But they don't understand it, or they don't think, because it never crossed their mind. That's the other thing that I've learned in communication, because I sucked at communication, and I still suck at communication. I'm working on being much better about it. You have to communicate these things like, okay, so this is why, not just $5,000, but the $5,000 is, I got all of this shit, all of this stuff, the stuff that I need to show your people to do this, and then it takes away from the other time, because they don't think about that. And then they have more of an appreciation for the things that you do and why your time is so valuable. Not just that you make this thing or that, but it's like, there's a reason that you have been in business as long as you have been.
Right. I'd be out of business if I agreed to show up and do a show for every shop that asked me to do that.
You wouldn't have time to work.
No, I wouldn't have time to work. So that's why I put such a premium on myself. Like, I figure if I'm going to do it, I need to get paid.
I used to feel bad about making money. Like, that was the thing that I had almost a grudge against. Like, I didn't like making money.
It's part of the energy of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's my energy. It's my life. It's my time. It's like, so you have to understand what your worth is. But you know what? I mean, it's different for different people. Like, if a company that I've been doing business with for a long time approached me in a different way, I'd do it for like $1,000. You know what I mean? It's the vibe. It's the energy.
Yes.
It's different for everybody. So, I mean, if I'm approached the right way, then maybe it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's one of those things. We'll make it work if we can make it work.
Right.
Yeah. And that's another one of those things I go with. Like, eventually, like, it'll work itself out. Like, I used to stress out about details that I couldn't do anything. Lots of shit I could do nothing about. And I realized lots of shit I could do nothing about. But in the small little circle of my life, as far as my, my this or my that, my work, that I can control. Yeah. So how far in do you think that, like, you into the business of Cosmic Glass, how long do you think that it was before you started putting like a premium on your time?
I'd say in the last 2 years. But I mean, I always saw it as like something I didn't want to give away for free. I'd had peace of mind. I'd invite me to an event in the past, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. They wanted me to come out and set it up and do it for free. Of course, everybody doesn't want to pay for nothing. And I said no. But now there were plenty of people that said yes, and good for them. I don't want to see anybody fail, or everybody's got to take their own approach and whatever, you know what I mean? But that's just me.
Yeah. No, I dig that. I dig that. people are going to make the moves that are right for them. Like I can't, I'm not the only person selling comedy in the town that I live in. You have to do it the way that is right for you, and the brand that you are developing. And you can't giving away for free, like, is a really shitty business plan. But I
Absolutely.
can tell you, it took me probably 2 years of like booking shows and promoting shows before I made anything resembling a profit on shows. Like there was so much of a learning curve with ordering the right size of flyers, making sure that they look good on the proof, and then burning through, whatever, 100 copies of this, 50 copies of this, 10 copies of this to get to the right one. But now I have it dialed in. It took me a while to get there. It took me a while to get some of the sponsors dialed in. It took me a while to get relationships with artists. But when you start getting it dialed in, and then it starts working on its own, like I'm sure. Do you get into like a flow state when you're doing glass?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I pick the torch up, I turn it on, and I pick up a tube, and I don't know what it's going to be when I start. That's what, like you said, everything's different. I try to make certain sizes, small, medium, and large now, and I try to give 190%, 200% to every piece that I make. I'm trying to make it better than the last piece. And it's definitely a flow state. I would say that that's correct. Like I lose track of time. I'm just listening to some music, and now I'm doing the live streaming, and sometimes people pop in and they talk to me, and I'm still working and I can still talk to people, but it's a lot more fun to me now. And I don't feel as alone when, random strangers show up and they're like, "Oh my God, I bought one of your pipes in New York and it's the best pipe I own. And thank you. Oh my God, dude, I never thought I could get a hold of you. And I saw you're doing a live stream today. And wow, that's so cool." And that shit lifts me up. It makes me feel good. So that's why I
I'm
do
glad
it.
you feel good.
That's why
I'm glad you feel good. I'm glad that you're getting the feedback that you need.
Yeah, I never got feedback before I did this. And I've only been doing the live streaming for this is my 3rd month maybe.
Do you think it's increased your sales?
I would say so. I mean, just in the fact that I've sold maybe 5 or 6 pipes directly to people all around the country. And recently this lady in Arizona with the bubbler, that was all based on the fact that I was live streaming, and she had talked to me, while I was blowing glass, and had mentioned, "Hey, do you do custom stuff? Can I get one of your pipes?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm right here. Tell me what you want." She said, "I want a bubbler." I was like, "I got you." She sent me the money, like, bam, right then and there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty wicked. It made me feel really good. And then so I was, committed to making her a bubbler. And I almost wanted to give her her money back because I was forced to make a bubbler. You know what I mean? And I'm an artist. I'm like, shit, now I got to make one.
So is it different now? Like, so is it a different experience now making a bubbler, some bubbler that is going to go into a store to some, maybe someone that you've never met before, versus now you're making a custom bubbler to specifically for this person to make them happy?
Yes,
it
it's way
changes the
different.
pressure.
It's way different. And I don't even offer bubblers for sale. That wasn't one of the things I mentioned when I was reading off what I make for the stores. I don't offer that to stores because they're a pain in the ass to make. I don't got 2 or 3 hours every day to sit down and make 10 bubblers for shop A, B, and C. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of time. And I make some really heady shit. Like I make these heady pipes that are actual heads with like eyeballs and mouths and teeth. And like I'm telling a story with the thing. Like recently I did, well, it wasn't recent, like a year or 2 ago, I made one that's got like a Rolex crown in its mouth, or a crown in its mouth. It's got like a star in its eye, and the other one's white, and it's like how I feel at that particular time is how those creature pipes kind of develop. And I don't really get a chance to make them that often because they're more expensive, and most people only want to buy my small, medium, and large spoons when it comes to the stores. But I'm hoping as like I do this live streaming that I get the opportunity to make that higher end work and actually get it into the hands of people directly. I'm hoping to be able to get into that retail market because I've been in the wholesale industry the whole time. I've never seen retail money in this industry until recently when I started doing the live streams and I'm selling directly to people a $40 pipe, a $50 pipe. I usually get half of that. You know what I mean? When I sell to stores, it's always half.
I'm glad that you're able to connect with your audience. Like, I think that that's one of the beautiful things about social media is you make something, and like that dude said at the shop, he bought one of your pipes 10 years ago. Like, you've been consistent. That's I think also very much key, and we never hit on, was that you've been consistent. Like, you have the Cosmic brand has existed for a very long time, and it's in a lot of places, and it's something that has grown. It's something that has like a real value.
Right, and I'd love to be able to bring more people into my shop to help me, and I'm hoping in the next year that I can do that, expand, and have some helpers. You know what I mean? So I can start focusing more on that higher end artwork stuff versus my production, but I need help for that. So that's why I'm still kind of just grinding out, doing it myself. I haven't found the right people yet that have come into my life, and I'm not really, putting out, advertisements looking for people to help me.
Well, I think that the live streams are going to be one of those things that are going to bring people in, because they're going to see it as the art. And the more you talk about what you're doing as the art that it is, and why every piece is different, but then talking about the other, like the bigger pieces, like these are, and this is, like this is your Sistine Chapel. Like, these pieces, these head pieces are telling stories, and then kind of telling the story behind them. And yeah, and I really do believe, like, the right people, like the lady in Arizona who got her dream bubbler from you. I think those people are going to come to you eventually. Like,
it's not a process you can rush, man. It's like this.
No.
It's like the path to success. You can't just skip steps. It's a slow process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm still doing it one day at a time, baby, and I'm not giving up, and I'm trying to succeed as best I can. Not letting the bad shit get me down, because there's always a lot of bad stuff when you're doing a path like I'm walking.
Yeah, I mean, the path of the entrepreneur is tough. Like, it's not an easy path, and it's one of those things that absolutely should be commended. So yeah. Oh man, it is 12:04. I've got to drive up to Anchorage tomorrow to pick up some of the kiddos from their spring break.
My kids are in Hawaii right now.
That's awesome.
Right? With my ex-wife. They didn't invite me this time. I didn't get the invite. Oh man.
So I am going to Anchorage to pick up the kids from my wife's first marriage. My kids. I've been there for the last 8 years since they were babies. But I'm going to pick up the kid from the kids who have been with their dad this week. He's flying up from the lower 48 for a week with his kids. God bless him. But yeah, that's my trip tomorrow. That's
right on.
Snowboarding. I hung out with my baby. It's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, they had a good time. I had a good time. And if you're not having fun, you need to work on it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have fun every day.
You have to. Yeah, I as I get older, like I'm realizing I probably have a few less sunrises ahead of me than I have behind me.
How old are you?
41.
I'm 44.
Any advice?
Nah, just take it one day at a time, man. That's my advice. That's what I've been doing. I've been taking it one piece at a time. I tattooed that on my arm.
So my dad has been in Al-Anon for like 20 plus years. And so one of his philosophies, right, is that you can restart your day as many times as you want, right? If you're having a rough day, you can step outside, take a breather, and just reset your day. F it. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever happened before that particular moment, it doesn't matter, right? It's restart your day.
Right.
The burden of something you can't do anything about from an hour ago shouldn't still be weighing on you if you can avoid it, right? Like, and that's anxiety, and that's depression, that's all the other stuff that not clearing out the bullshit that just allows that other stuff to add to it.
I agree.
Yeah. I've been a big fan of clearing out a lot of the bullshit in my life over the last couple of years. So,
Yeah, this last year for me was a rough one, but somehow I came out of it. Making new friends helps.
yeah, absolutely. That's friends. Friends was another thing. Like for me and martial arts and doing jujitsu was making friends who were in a completely different universe than me. Like they're
Right.
like our universes would never touch, right? If we weren't trying to kill each other. And you know, like some of those dudes are teachers, or they're, you know, or they're cops, or they're veterans, or, you know, they're um, ex-college wrestlers, or they're soccer moms. Like there's a lady I train with. She started training jujitsu when she was like 44, I think she said. I have had her on the podcast. Her name's May Britton. I think she was like 44 when she started. She went to like a woman's self-defense course, and she was crushed by a 12-year-old. And like no shit, like this was a grown-ass woman who could do nothing with a 12-year-old on top of her, right? Like she said, I was stuck. I couldn't do anything. I'd never, like, I've been like, I was helpless. I was absolutely helpless. I needed to learn how to not be helpless. This woman has then gone on to win, you know, like a world championship as as an older woman doing jujitsu.
That's
So,
great.
I mean, it's Alaska, because you can, you know, it gets dark for a long period of time. So you get to be really good. You get to be really good at stuff if you practice being really good at stuff.
I practice every day, man.
How many years of practice do you think that it took you before you started to call yourself a professional, or felt like a professional?
I still don't feel like a professional. I still feel like I'm, you know, just practicing. Seriously.
Do you ever want to feel does do you ever think about the day that you might not feel that way? Like you might feel like, I'm a professional now. I'm Jeremiah the professional.
I think about a time in the future when maybe I've got some helpers and they can be producing work of the same level that I'm at today, and then I can step back away from the shop a little bit and maybe travel a little bit while my shop, you know, is producing work. And I think at that point in my career, I would consider myself a professional.
Fair enough. I
When
dig that.
I can see my experience and knowledge in the hands of other people that I've trained, and they're doing work as good as me, at that point, I think I would absolutely consider that a fact. But it hasn't happened yet, man. I had a employee that got pretty damn good, but you know, he had to quit to go work for a better job, and that's it's just gonna happen. So, like I said, I'm gonna keep trying until I got my crew. I haven't got my crew yet.
All right. I don't know.
But until then, yeah, I'm getting up at 6. I'm working every day, and I'm producing glass as fast as I can. Right now, I'm working for. Actually, I'm not working for anybody right now. I don't have any orders right now, so I'm kind of chilling. Like I just finished up a little order for Green Degree out here in Wasilla, and it's kind of like a lull period for me. And I'm not really chasing sales right now. Like I used to have my ex-wife doing the sales calls all the time, and I've had people helping me with that in the past, and right now I've just been kind of doing it organically, waiting for things to kind of just pop off, just so I could focus on having some fun between orders, like making these shot glasses I showed you. I want to maybe step into that realm and start selling shot glasses to art galleries or something, or these magic wands, you know, take a different path or a direction.
So, yeah, I think that that's very cool. One of the things that we have down here is supper clubs. And so like shot glasses or custom made glasses specific to supper clubs. I mean, like that's all of that shit is super rad. And all of that is stuff that you can charge a premium for. If someone is, you know, dude,
I'm selling my shot glasses for $50 a piece, man. And I honestly think they could go for 100, but I'm signing numbering them all too. Right now I'm up to number 11. And I'm going to keep making them. I'm going to do 1 million of these bad chickens because it's fun. I have a good time making shot glasses. My friend that's visited me has inspired me to do that. She's very inspirational.
Glad you feel inspired.
I'm
really, inspiration is good. Like when you're trying something new that is a branch of something that you're already good at is pretty dope.
And it is. It's using the same techniques basically. I'm just not pushing a bowl in it, and it's still functional. People are going to put alcohol or juice in it depending on what they're drinking that night. But I figure it's obviously something that's more. It's got more mass appeal too. I can have a table full of shot glasses, but not a table full of pipes if I'm in public. You know what I mean? That's still frowned upon by the general public. What I do. There's always been a kind of negative connotation associated with what I do. Making drug paraphernalia.
Do you feel like you're playing a part in breaking the stigma?
On a certain level, I would suppose, but I mean, I'm not in contact with that many people to really have them understand that I'm like a normal guy. You know what I mean? That I'm not an evil person with what I do. But I hope with the more people I come in contact with that they see that. You know what I mean? That I got good intentions. I'm just trying to give out some love here. I'm not trying to take advantage of nobody. Well, I give more than I receive, and that's 100% true, man. I mean, when these people order my stuff, I mean, I'm putting it all in there and giving them more than they paid for every time.
How important do you think that is to being in business, to still be in business?
I think that's very important. I think to give more than what's expected is definitely something that should be done in every business, not just mine. Whether you're selling hot dogs or, you know, tacos, it's all the same stuff. You got to be nice to people.
Jeremiah, I thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for your time. Yeah, it's 12:14, which it's still not late. Like I'm not gonna go to bed. Like I'm gonna go upstairs and watch a Stanley Kubrick movie, and I drink coffee, so maybe I'll take some recreational melatonin and get crazy with it. Yeah, I'm gonna hang out with my dog and with my old dog and watch Stanley Kubrick movies.
It's all good.
Yeah. So is there anything specific? Like I'm gonna post this up on my feed. Is there anything you want me to get rid of? Are you good?
No, I'm good. I mean, I'm being 100% honest. Like the whole thing about me going crazy, probation, jail, all that shit. That's 100% me, man. That really happened, and that's my story.
How important do you think it was to go through that to get to where you are now?
I think if I hadn't gone through that, I would not be here now, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. Like I went and lived with my parents for 6 months, man. I mean, I fell off and lost everything I owned. My ex-wife took everything, and I think when I came out of jail, I had $300 that was left in my wallet, and that's what I started over with back in March of last year. I started over with nothing but $300, and now I'm in a house. I got a car, and my job's still, you know, I had those, like I said, those foundational shops that supported me, like pulled me up out of my hell and kept me going.
First of all, I think that like the putting in more than they're asking for is probably what got you support when you were ready to come back. So like anyone listening to this in the future, always go above and beyond with your customers.
Right. I mean, and the feedback's 100% important. We used to call them all the time and be like, "How are you happy?" If there's anything broken, and we would send it and replace it. I mean, and I always had a policy that if my stuff broke, even if the clients broke the shit and brought it back to the store, I'd send them a new free pipe. And I think that's something everybody should do. Like, why not offer that? Like, if you broke your pipe and brought it back to a shop and said, "Yo, Cosmic Glass this is busted. I need a new one." I always said that, whether they break it or the customers break it, that I would fix it. And I think that's important. It's glass. I mean, come on, you'd think I'd have them all coming back. But I mean, you know, once in a while I get like a box filled with broken pipes, and every time I ship out brand new ones to replace them.
I've had no problems. I can't complain. Like, my shit's good. Like,
that's awesome. You got a classic there. I don't even sell to that shop anymore.
Yeah, that'll happen with them. You know, I don't really like. Yeah, yeah, I get it. I understand that as well. So in Soldotna, are you at Lucky Raven?
I used to be at Lucky Raven, but I don't think I'm there anymore. And that's the thing about my work. It's like once it sells out, I mean, a lot of these shops don't call us back and want to buy more. My ex used to like call them and pester them all the time. And my new business plan is, I mean, I'm not really pestering the shop so much. I mean, I'm trying to really just focus on the Alaska market, honestly. I think there's more than enough shops here that could keep me so busy that I don't even need to sell out of state anymore. But I mean, for many years, we were selling into every state in the country.
Are you familiar with virtual assistants?
No.
Okay, so in the book 4 Hour Work Week, if you haven't, I wouldn't even recommend reading it. I'd say get the Audible. It's a Tim Ferriss book, and it's basically a shit ton of different life hacks for entrepreneurs and getting the most out of what it is that you're trying to do. And one of the things that he advocates for is a virtual assistant, which could be a person who could live in India, but you give them a set list of tasks that you need. Let's say you need this person to go through and email or call or contact or make a Facebook message to every one of these retail operations on your behalf with a copy of your catalog, with photos of your work, you know, what you're working on and what you've done, and they just fulfill those tasks.
I've recently got an apprentice, so I'm slowly getting those tasks kind of assigned. So like my new friend from Vegas, I think she's going to be my new apprentice. So we'll see how that works out. But those are some of the tasks that I'm assigning to her once this pops off.
Well, yeah, like, and that's one of those really, really cool things. Like, is she considering a move from Vegas? Because that's
she
a hell
is.
of a way. Okay,
she
well,
is.
Congratulations on the muse making the move. But it's going to be a hell of a way for her to meet people as well. You know, it's a cold calls are a really good way to make friends.
Yeah, that's how we got on a first name basis with a lot of these dispensary owners all around the state of Alaska. And as the industry started to develop, I had my finger on the button of the whole industry as it popped off, like in all these places. I was checking the marijuana license lists like every week. Like, okay, there's a new shop over there. Let's touch those people and let's see if they want to do some business with Cosmic Glass. And I think she just got sick of all the work. I mean, it's a lot of work doing this shit, man.
Well, I mean, you had customers from when it was strictly black market. So you brought customers with you. You were catering to a market, that no one else was catering to, and you were doing it with a premium product. And not a lot of, I mean, the black market typically doesn't get catered to with a premium product of any sort.
Right.
And so you had a leg up. Like you existing in that space before and being one of the sole cats in that space means that you had that leg up anyway, because the customers knew who you were.
Right. That was an advantage for sure.
So fucking shout out to you on that for.
Oh, and I
for
forgot to
reading
shout
your
out
book.
Catalyst Cannabis Company. That's one of my favorite shops there in Anchorage too. They recently got some cosmic glass, and I love all the people down there. I invited them all out to my studio. I have yet to see them, but I did invite them all out to my shop.
So I'll say reach out to Ben Farley. He's out of Catalyst. He is their bud tender.
I
He's a
shook that
very
guy's hand on the way out the door last time I was there. It's funny you bring up his name. I was like, Ben, how you doing? Because he introduced himself to me the first time I walked in their door. I was wearing my hoodie, and he's like, Cosmic, how you doing, man? And I'd never met the cat before, but he told me he'd been selling my glass for years.
So Ben is a comic I've been booking for years. He does Best Buds Radio. He's been around and he knows a lot of people. Ben I'd also recommend Joe over at Enlighten. But if you're selling your stuff at Catalyst, I want to say all day, every day, there's a reason Ben Farley is as dialed in as he is, and that's because he's passionate about the product.
Right.
Like I like cannabis, and medicinally it has helped me. That man loves weed on a romantic level.
I've seen some of his clips. It's pretty entertaining stuff.
It's a weird thing to say, but whatever you saw in the clip, that's him in real life. Like, that's
Right.
not an act.
I know.
Let me say, none of this is real and everything is entertainment. Nothing we are saying is real, but hypothetically, because this is a recorded conversation, God bless America. All right, let me just end there and say that Ben Farley is a very funny human being, and if there's someone from Catalyst who is likely to come out to your shop, it would be Ben Farley, because he loves cannabis on a romantic level.
Yeah, I totally invited him out.
Yeah, and you know what? And he'll break out the yellow Prius and drive up there.
Yeah, I'm not that far away from Anchorage, man. It's a 40-minute drive, whatever.
Man, I'm glad you called the old man.
Which old man? You?
No, the old man and learned how to blow glass.
Oh, okay.
The old man at the very beginning
I'm
that we
catching
talked
it now.
about.
I'm catching it now, but yeah.
Yeah,
None of this would have happened.
Yeah. You had an adventure. You're still on an adventure.
I am.
Here's a question for you. If you sell one piece, or even talk about selling like the magic wand down in Vegas, can you write the trip to Vegas off on your taxes?
Yeah.
Well,
all of it.
Enjoy your write-off.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, so that's half the reason to just try to go into a shop and talk to a manager. That's all I got to do is say, hey, my name's Jeremiah. I'm from Cosmic Glass, and I'd love to do business with you. And if they tell me no, I mean, that's a business trip.
So last summer we took a trip out to Port Chatham to search for the hairy man, which, by the way, you're never find whatever you want to find when you're searching for Bigfoot, but we didn't find Bigfoot. You know what we found? We found a really good time. So when we went out, I gotta grab one of my charger pieces as well. What I found, Jesus. All right. We went out there with the expectation that Bigfoot was gonna kill me. In the best case scenario, Bigfoot was gonna maul me. And if we were lucky, we'd have it on video. Right? Because there's really only one of two ways it can go if you got Bigfoot on video. If you're lucky, he'll maul you. Now, my kid, the video of me being mauled by Bigfoot is going to be worth bucks, right? My kid, ironically named Yeti, never going to have to work a day in his life, right? Because his dad is the guy who got eaten by Bigfoot. The big fear, the real fear is what if Bigfoot just decides he wants to fuck you? You can't share share that video with the world. Like, you don't share that video with anyone. You could have DNA evidence that Bigfoot fucked you. You're not telling anyone. So either A, because clearly I didn't get eaten by Bigfoot.
And where were you?
We were out at Port Chatham. So Port Chatham, Port Lock. It's near Homer.
Okay.
And yeah, so they had a whole town that was abandoned, like twice, and they blamed Bigfoot. They blamed something called the hairy man in the woods that was killing people.
Gotcha.
Right. So the truth of the story is like way less cool. If you're a Bigfoot guy, I don't want to ruin it for you. Oh, fuck it, I'll ruin it for you. The town burned down because they had an uninsured blacksmith. Right? Which, it was like 1930s Alaska. Like, if you had one, like, where do you find an insured blacksmith in 1930s logging town, Alaska?
You don't.
You don't. So the town burned down. There's no insurance. You just move on, right? My understanding, the research shows, there was a lady that grew up there, and she didn't speak any English, native lady, and she was telling her niece essentially, like, I just don't want people going out there. Say some crazy shit. And they just kind of came up with this crazy thing about a thing in the woods, ripping people's arms off and tearing up the trees and making a great big mess of things. What I found was, like, the folks from the Discovery Channel that went out there, they built a sauna. And so I got to use Bigfoot sauna.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, take that, Discovery Channel. Also, we used your toilet. All right.
That's cool.
Yeah. They can do nothing about it, Discovery Channel. But yeah, it's dope because it's like, it's the middle of nowhere. It's one of the few places you'll go to in this day and age where there's no cell service. Maybe you'll see a plane, some sightseers, some tourist in Homer who paid a few $100 to get on a plane and see stuff. But yeah, it's right next to Dogfish Bay, which ironically has like more Bigfoot sightings than Port Chatham. I mean, there are still sightings out there. Like, people still say they're seeing stuff out there. A lot of crazy shit happens in Homer. So I've got a buddy who said he was abducted by aliens from the spit in Homer.
That's funny.
He broke down the story. So, and let me say, this guy did do a lot of drugs. I won't take that away from him. But he was very convincing in this story that happened to him. Allegedly, he was taken from the spit in Homer. He was taken onto a ship, and he had his seed extracted. Now, he said it was like an octopus that went on his junk, and it was the most intense orgasm he'd ever had. The world is a crazy place, and I want the world to be a crazy place. The world is better with Bigfoot. The world is better with mysteries. The world is, I don't want to say the world is better with the evil secret societies, but you need the evil secret societies for there to be good.
Well, it sounds like something you do when you're retired. You know what I mean?
Just search.
Going to look for Bigfoot.
Basically, just going camping. Well, because there's a certain point where it's like you want to camp with adventure, right? Because, like, getting mauled by a bear isn't enough. Like, we're going to go hunt for Bigfoot. You're just going to hope that you don't get mauled by a bear. But there's a lot of – here's what I learned before I went out to Port Chatham is there's a lot of Bigfoot documentaries. There's more evidence for whatever crazy Bigfoot shit you want to believe than there is evidence against it. Like I don't know if you get into aliens, but I get balls deep into aliens.
I'm into the Freemasonry stuff. That's interesting to me.
So I'd love to sit down and talk to you about Freemasonry stuff because I'm really, really curious about that with some of the stuff that I've been diving into recently. But I
got books and books on that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. I'd love to pick your brain on some of that shit. It's just I my so there's allegedly, right? There was an alien in President Eisenhower's administration. And because there are books and documentaries on aliens in his administration, there is actually more evidence for an alien in Eisenhower's administration than there is that there wasn't an alien. Right? We've created that world, and I love living in that world.
Me too.
I mean, there's no, if you've made 4 documentaries and there's 16 books, there's more evidence than if there isn't. So you know what? I'm going with an alien in Eisenhower's administration because that world is way more fun to me.
Right.
Like, it's that shit makes way more sense than everything else. Than what society has just transpired and become what it's become on its own. No, that's not fun at all. That shit's boring.
No, society became the way it is because of the television, man. That's really 100% it.
Yeah, I mean, David Icke has a lot of good quotes on that, but there are a lot of guys who have a lot of guys and gals and folks that have a lot of really good quotes on how the television has hijacked the mind, has hijacked the imagination.
A little bit.
Yeah,
I've read some David Icke myself. That's funny you mentioned that guy.
He's an international treasure, that man.
He's a little out there with his reptile stuff, but whatever. I think he touches on a lot of real topics too.
Yeah, so the reptilian stuff can get man.
That kind of goes into your alien Eisenhower stuff a little bit.
The world is way more cool with lizard people than without.
I'm not a lizard person. I'm just a guy making pipes in his garage.
I for years, I thought that the reason my wife and I couldn't conceive was because she's at least part lizard person. Yeah, that was, I said, the reason you can't make me a baby is because you're a lizard person.
That's funny.
Yeah, so now we got a kid named Yeti. Man. It's been a pleasure talking to you, getting to know you.
Yeah, you too. You want to see a little quick tour of my studio?
Yes. I want to see your studio. I want to see your studio.
Here's my
studio.
Let me see if I can flip it around.
All right, let me make sure.
Table. Couple spoons. I got these boxes. I got large. I got medium. I got small. There's not many pipes in here.
Okay.
I got a couple. Let me see. Here's my station. This is where I stand. There's my torch. Since you can't come out here right now, I'll show you what it looks like. That's the torch. These are some of the colors I use. And that's what decorates the pipes with all the colors. There's my oxygen system. I used to get all my gas from Air Liquide, and it was like $1,000 a month. And now I'm saving that money because I invested in this oxygen system over here. Shout out to HVO, High Volume Oxygen, out of, I think they're in Nebraska or something. Omaha. Here's my kiln. It's got stickers all over it. Big old beast. This is what it looks like when it's closed. It's called a scut. Let's see what's in it. Oh, there's a shot glass. See the AK on there?
Yo.
Stars. This one's got 3 stars on it, but yeah, that's a shot glass. My assistant made this nice marble today.
You got a talented assistant.
Yeah, she's getting good pretty fast, and she also did some prep work for me today too. She colored this tube right here for me. That's really helpful. So that's going to be a pipe, man. That's how they start out. They start off as just clear tubes like this. And then I color them up like this one, and then I shape them into this. See the AK on it?
That's dope. It's very, very dope.
This one's got a moon on it. Let's check this one out. This one's got a crown on it. You see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
A crown and a star. And then this one's green. I've been doing some stuff for St. Patrick's Day, so we were working on a little bit of green stuff.
Which is the irony in that you don't drink and you can't smoke is really funny.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah, here's the thing though. Like, if you're drinking out of $100 or a $50 shot glass, right? The real chances are you are a responsible drinker. You're not like me, all right?
I'm not a responsible drinker either. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah. However, if you're spending $100 on a shot glass, you probably are. You're probably going to sip something real cool out of there. And you know what? And you're probably you might even buy 2 or 3 at a time so you can drink something special with your loved ones.
That's why I want to make shot glasses now. I think they're fun. And I just started that like a couple days ago, man. I've already made 11 of them.
So you're just like, nah, I can drink out of that.
I've been drinking some apple cider vinegar out of my shot glass. I don't know if you know about the apple cider vinegar, but that shit's really healthy for you.
I'm a kombucha guy myself.
I love kombucha. I drink that shit too.
Kombucha's the shit. So
it makes me feel like I'm still a drinker. You know what I mean?
So I had been sober for a while, right? And then I relapsed, right? It was a really fucking bad relapse. It ended with a suicide attempt, but it started with kombucha. Like the beginning of that relapse was like the trace amount of alcohol, and it was like that felt good. That felt real good.
Right.
And then it was like I remember how alcohol made me feel, and I'm not the same person I was. I can drink now. I was fucking wrong as shit.
See, I know that I can't do that myself. That's why I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I can't drink anymore. It's not good for me.
It's one of those things that like I have zero interest in. Like at this point, there's no good valid reason. Like I probably have shit to do the next day.
You want me to tell you how I quit? I'll tell you my story real quick.
Sure, yeah, by all means.
I had a shop owner that actually the guy that owns Smoking Deals offered me the deal if I could make as much product as I could in 2 weeks that he would buy it all, and it was a ton. Like it was a big deal. Like so I was like at that point I knew I couldn't do what he asked me to do if I was hungover. So right then and there I quit drinking. I made like I want to say 300 or 400 pipes in 2 weeks. I don't remember what it was. It was a lot, but he paid me like over $10,000 in 2 weeks for me staying up from like 5 o'clock in the morning until like midnight, blowing glass every day. I did that for 2 weeks, and that's what got me to quit drinking alcohol. I knew that if I could do that, I would be much more successful in my life than if I continued to drink. So it wasn't like I got a DUI or I hit rock bottom, I beat somebody up, nothing like that. It was just the fact that a shop owner had motivated me to better myself, basically. That's what got me to quit.
Get that money, sir. Get that money. Now, were you a heavy drinker before that?
Yeah, I would drink like a 12-pack of Busch Ice like every day. I would chase it with like Jim Beam shots at the end of the night. Like I'd say I'd almost drink a 24-pack of Busch Ice a day. Like I was a heavy drinker, and I was fat too. I was probably like 260. And I would sit in my shop and blow glass and drink beer like on my time off from the slope. I used to work on the slope for like a decade, man. I did that while I was saving money to get all the equipment to blow glass. I was a heavy equipment operator. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of, because it's one of those. It's the coping skill that's available to you, right? So I was in the military, and my coping skill for a very long time was heavy drinking, and it was It was like 40s of PBR every, like, you know, it was fucking, it was lots of PBR. There's a lot, you know, I don't get it. I lived in Washington where there was a lot of really good beer, and I was fucking hammered on PBR. But yeah, I drank a lot. Didn't accomplish shit, man. Just my way of dealing with, for like the 3 years after my divorce, because I was like constantly deploying, was just fucking heavy drinking. That was it. So yeah, it was heavy drinking and sleeping pills.
Well, it's part of the culture out here. Where in the valley, man, everybody drinks like that, and in my neighborhood, like everyone around me drank like that. And when I quit drinking, everybody around me was like, "Come on, man, just have one beer with me." And I noticed like all my friends evaporated once I quit drinking alcohol. I didn't want to be around drunk people anymore either, and I still carry that today. Like I don't really like being around people that are drunk.
Yeah, so working at the clubs for myself, like working in bars,
That's got to be difficult, huh?
well, I'm not the only person there that's not drinking. So like, so for example, like the hot dog lady, right? The lady who's catering the dinner, the food, at the event, right? Like she can't drink, she can't get fucked up and slang her glizzies, slang weens to the weirdos at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So like, so hanging out with other sober people, sober people, hanging out with the bar owner, who ultimately I kind of am responsible to. He is paying me money to make sure that a service is provided. I have to make sure that he makes 8 to 10 times more than he's paying me in his drinks.
Right.
Like if his shit is, and he has to make sure that he's not getting robbed by his bartenders. He's got to make sure that he's not getting robbed by his clients.
Right.
I mean, he can't be drunk either. So like, so in the bar and the club culture, the surprising thing is there's a lot of sober people, because you have to make, like, I don't want to have one of those Travis Scott Astro World things where someone gets really hurt at an event I'm putting on, because then it stops being fun.
Right.
You know, and now it's not, now it's something else, right? It's put a stain on what's happening. So in doing my best to keep it fun, sometimes you have to be the grown up. That's okay. Like I don't mind having to be a grown up if it means that people get home safe.
I think having kids really plays a part in that too. You know what I mean? Like holding that responsibility for more than just yourself.
Absolutely. You know, because they look at you, right? And my oldest sees all of the hypocrisy, like all of the, he remembers drunk shitty dad. Like the little,
My oldest does too. Absolutely.
the littles didn't know that guy. You know, like
Same here.
you know, it's and explaining to my kid, like that guy that you're holding like this thing from when you were 4 against, like that guy's dead. Like that guy doesn't exist, you know. But in my end, it's almost like it almost becomes an excuse. Like I don't want to be the excuse for someone else's shitty behavior either. Like, you know, and explaining that, you know, like I fucked up. Like I know I fucked up. I made a lot of mistakes as your parent. Like please learn from my mistakes and don't repeat that cycle.
Right.
You know, and holding on to shit doesn't help anybody. But at the same time, you know, it's like it's their thing to hold on to. Like it's whatever their memories are of me, I mean, it's not like they didn't happen, but their memories of me, whether or not I feel like that person is still there. Like I still remember like the shitty things my mom did. It definitely takes it away when she went through making her amends, when she went through like her 12-step process.
I never went through the 12 steps. I never did that. I never went to AA meetings.
Yeah, so
I just quit.
Yeah. Did you have like was there any support group, or did you just like, fuck it, I'm done, I got
No,
shit to do?
you know, my ex kind of joined me in being sober like a week or two later, and it was kind of helpful to have her support at that time in my life. And then it's kind of crazy because, you know, after our divorce, she started drinking again, and I just thought that was so crazy for her to backslide and jump off the wagon. But I mean, everybody's on their own path. You know what I mean?
I get it. I mean, and that's her path. Like, if she's happier than she was, like, my big thing with my ex is like, if she's not miserable, then she's not going to be trying to make my life miserable. And that's the thing about exes. Like, for me, it's still like, I don't know. There's the one human being who can always kick you in the balls.
Yeah, that's the one for sure. The ex-wife.
Yeah. And when I look at that relationship, like, I probably deserve like that kick in the balls. Like, I own that I wasn't what I would call an outstanding husband. And I can't speak for anyone else, but I was a shit husband. Like, I was an
I thought I
alcoholic.
was perfect, man. I don't know what her problem is.
She just didn't get you, man. She just didn't get you.
That's it. I was married for 21 years to that woman.
Oh, I know. Shit, I don't, man. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. That's
It
a
is
really long time. Like, and I don't know and I've only been married. My wife and I have been married now for about 7, 8 years now.
That's good.
But it like 21 is like, you think you've got it licked.
Yeah, I thought she was my ride or die, man, but that's not the case. When shit hit the fan, she jumped in the Escalade and drove away.
Well, now there's a muse.
There is a muse.
There is a muse. And you know,
she's been bringing a lot of positive into my life. It's been nice.
Yo, positive energy is important. Like, if I didn't have my person, like, and that's the thing. Like, I've got like, children are motivation, but I have a person that, like, when I went to the hospital because I lost my shit, because I went away for 6 weeks because I flipped my shit. We were brand new married. She didn't have to stick around. Like, she could. I didn't sign up for this shit. I'm out. She didn't. Like, she packed up. She moved everything to Alaska, and she was ready for me to show up. You know, she had a house ready for me, and I never forgot that.
That's love.
That's that good dick.
That's that too.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's a nice lady. So I've learned to sous vide and cook because of her. Well, I learned to cook before her, but like, learned to cook a lot because she's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know, I think that it's important that, like, if you have people that you interact with on a regular basis that are supportive of you, but you have to, like, for me, I have to remember, like, I have to be supportive of her too, so that she can do the shit that she wants to do. Because she's also got like her own set of goals. She's got her own thing that she's doing. My wife's a teacher, so she has her own. She has, 30 other people that she is responsible to for 6 to 8 hours a day. She has, and my job is then to make sure that I can lift some of the burden, whether it's, I don't know, if I could making lunch for her, so it's one less thing that she's got to worry about, or
right,
whatever the thing is. Like, for me, I have to remember that, like, this shit isn't just about me, right? It's
a partnership. It's a partnership.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like in the previous marriage, it wasn't. It was like, oh, I'm the military guy. It's my fucking career, and fuck off, and I'm gonna get drunk and fucking do a bunch of stupid shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work. You gotta put in just as much as you're taking out, for sure.
You know what? I spent a lot of time taking out. Like, to be fair, like, I spent a lot of time burning that marriage to the ground. Like,
yeah, and I guess I look back on it too, and I realize that there's a lot of things I need to improve about myself in my next relationship. You know what I mean?
But it goes back to that other thing we were talking about before, where it was like learning from your mistakes and then learning from others, and then going forward with fun and with like the best of intention. That's the other thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, is fun and the best intentions. Like
Right.
if you are legitimately going from your heart to do the best thing that you think you're doing, like from a place of love, I think is a better way to say it. Not best intentions, but from a place of love, and not imagining ill intent, right? If I have a business relationship with someone over going back years, and there's a miscommunication, sometimes you have to just chalk it up as a miscommunication and not as the burning of a bridge, or some things just happen because you didn't, oh shit, communicate properly. Oh, what the hell? Sorry, dropped my phone.
You still there?
Hey, Fred.
No,
I'm still here.
I know what you're talking about, man. I've definitely had a few of my accounts that have, there's been a miscommunication and we're no longer doing business.
You ever
that's just part of the path, you know what I mean? You're gonna lose some people on the road. Not everybody's gonna love you.
Absolutely. And you have to, and that's another thing that I've had to learn, is like, by doing the thing that is like your path, by taking your path, you're going to ruffle feathers, right? And sometimes those feathers are going to be like birds that you used to flock with. And maybe those feathers that you're ruffling will be part of your flock later on. But if you are on the path that you are supposed to be on, and you're doing it from a place of love, like the things that will happen are supposed to happen. It's like following the process.
Yeah, you can't rush any of it. It's just part of the plan, man. I didn't know this person was gonna come into my life, and so I'm open arms. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's when you're not expecting it that it means the most.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it at all.
And dude, you got a tax write-off out of this.
Yes.
Talk to the cashier at your restaurant. You know what? You can go to the Cheesecake Factory at Caesar's. And you can talk about your magic wands, and then say, "I sell them." I didn't need you to buy one. I don't need you to buy one, ma'am. I still, I'm just trying to order my Cuban sandwich. But I'm trying to write off this entire trip, so I just need to tell you.
And I'm trying to find some Cuban cigars in Vegas. If you know where I need to go, let me know.
And that's the crazy thing. It's going to be hard. It's going to be easier for you to find the worst shit ever. It'll be easier for you to find a hitman than it will be for you to find a Cuban cigar in Vegas.
Right?
I'm sure. I'm positive. And then I'm positive. And no one's going to believe you. Hey, man, do you know where I can get some Cubans? They're gonna that's slang for Latin hitman. Like,
I was gonna say I could probably find cocaine easier than I could find the Cuban cigar.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, you're on parole. I wouldn't recommend that route.
Probation.
I'm sorry. I get them all fucked up. Yeah, so that would be bad too. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't do that stuff. Drugs are bad.
I mean, Mr. Mackey told me, and
yeah, I love that show.
By the way, have you watched the new season?
No, I don't have cable, but I do have Netflix. I don't even know if it's on there.
It's on HBO Max. The new season.
I don't have that one.
So if there's one that is worth investing in, because I have another podcast called Streaming Surface and Chill. Like, if there's one worth spending money for, it's HBO Max. And the big reason is because there's just an abundance of shit there, and they have South Park. So like South Park, the South Park studios signed a crazy deal for like 14 South Park movies. Like,
I didn't know that. I just wrote this down.
Yeah. So HBO Max has every South Park season, including 25, which is the current one.
So that's worth the subscription right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so I think the Muhammad episodes are taken down.
I love South Park. I've been a fan since they started years ago.
Oh my God. So yeah, Cartman Gets an Anal Probe was like the
That's the
greatest
classic.
TV I've ever seen. Like I was 17 years old. I had never seen anything like this. And here was like a second grader with an antenna coming out of his butt communicating with aliens. This is America and I love it.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
funny.
it. But yeah, so they're on season 25 and it's
So 25 years.
well, I don't know, more than that. More than that. I mean, they weren't dropping a seat. Like I think at some points they were dropping like 2 seasons in a 12-month period, and then they would have like years where they didn't drop shit. But then they would have those magical weeks where you'd have something crazy happen in the news, and then you'd have a new episode of South Park that addressed that crazy thing that just happened.
Yeah, that's the beauty of our culture, that people like that can pop up and share their perceptions on what they think they see. You know what I mean? And we need those other perceptions.
And I think that my fear with when you get into a deal where you get into like $500 million, because that's not even a real number to wrap your brain around, right? You're talking about a traded, like a commodity trading, right? You're talking about what shit, I guess it is 25 year, 20, maybe a season a year, whatever. Fuck, that's a real thing. It's hundreds of episodes. It's a lot of content, right? It's just so much stuff. And then it has a value. So like you're buying, it's sort of like Neil Young or Bob Dylan selling their masters. Not Steven Spielberg, fuck, Bruce Springsteen.
It was Bob Dylan, I think, recently did that.
Bob Dylan sold it for like 300 million. Bruce Springsteen did. Neil Young sold half of his catalog, or sold half, like 50% of his masters. I don't, and it's a weird thing because it's not my art. I'm sure that they've like separated themselves from, like I'm sure that Bruce Springsteen is as emotionally separated from the Nebraska album as he can possibly be at this point in his life. But like when you're selling your art, your masters, the thing that, I don't know, your kid's legacy. It's almost like your legacy, right? You're taking a chunk of your legacy out for a flat fee.
And I'm selling all mine one at a time.
Yeah,
Everyone's like a CD if you think about it. You know what I mean? I'm selling CDs here.
But you're not. But you're not, because a CD is an exact reproduction. There's nothing else that you're ever going to make that's going to look like the one that I have.
Right. So let me see it one more time. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a classic, man.
If you were to guess, like, what year did you make this?
I think I made that in 2014, 2013, 2012. Does it say it on the bottom? Is it signed?
Yeah, holy shit, it is. I don't want to dump out my weed. 2015.
Holy shit. Well, I was close. I said 2014.
2015. Yeah, fuck yeah. This is awesome.
You got a rare piece then. It's signed, man. I don't even do that much anymore.
Yeah, it's JT 2015.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Might be worth some money someday.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I went to college in Germany, and one of my professors, like her husband was the official doctor for the German Olympic team. Like he was their, like, I mean, he was the shit. In their house, they had a picture that had, like, Picasso had painted on, right? This is going to be that. At some point, that thing probably carried a little bit of water. And so someday this is going to be worth some money, and my kid's going to be like, this had a lot of bit of weed in
it. Yeah. Like some of my first Electroform pieces are probably like that. I want to say I've only made about 107 of them in my career, and I started back in like 2013.
Electroform, what does that mean?
That means like that electric wand that I showed you, this magic wand. You see the copper up on there?
Yeah.
That's from electroforming copper onto the pipe. And I do it with some of my really fancy pipes. I'll put crystals, and some of them had like leaves and shells on them. Like I did a whole array of different kind of styles, but that's what it looks like. It looks like copper on the pipe, and then I put crystals on the pipes too.
Is that is it almost like soldering with the copper,
No,
or
it's like it's a
welding?
slow, it's a process where you take the piece, you put you put like copper conductive paint on the pieces, and then you dip it into like a special bath, and I run electricity into it, and the copper kind of melts into this acid bath, and then it is attracted to the piece that I hang into the bath, and it starts to slowly build the copper up over time, and it takes about 5 days for the shit to work.
That sounds
like
really sciencey.
It's like mad science, yeah. I mean, if you were
How,
out in my studio, I could show you all the equipment that I use to make it, but it's kind of technical stuff.
I'm guessing that you probably didn't have any idea about any of this when you spoke to the old man and gave him a couple grand to learn how to do it.
Not at all.
How much has been since that has been like learning on the fly? How much stuff do you think you've innovated, or at least innovated for yourself?
Well, I've definitely invented some products like these dab straws I make. Like someone in California asked me if I could make a dab straw to do their wax with, and that was back in like 2014. And I started playing around with the idea of how to make a dab straw, and she wanted me to make them. And then I was like, well, wait, why don't I put some feet on this shit so it doesn't roll off the table? And then I started making them in mass, and I've probably sold like 5,000 of the damn things by now.
All right, that was okay. All right, so I've had one of those.
A dab straw?
Yeah, I didn't know that was you.
It's got my logo on it. If you've got a dab straw.
I don't know. I spent a lot of money on that. Like, I got that shit. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I invented that. I invented the roach killer, the cosmic tips that I make, those filter tips. I pretty much stole that from another company. I saw them making them, and I was like, okay, I could do that too. But yeah, very, very much so innovation. Like with the AK thing, that was like, I had my ex-wife's uncle who worked in the science industry, and now he works for like the government or something, but he was a machinist, and he made technical parts for all sorts of companies, and he is the one that designed my AK stamp, and he made me that crown stamp too, and I'm the only one in the world with those stamps because no one else has them. I tattooed them on my arm. I don't know if you could see it. Let me see. There.
The stamps. There are the stamps. There's the star. There's the crown. And it looks like there's the AK on the wrist area. Yep. Yeah.
So that's how committed I am to the brand.
I don't even have a tattoo. Like, so my logo is the poor Chatham Harryman, just thumbs up smiling. Like I'm not that committed. I don't have him tattooed on me. That's dedication, sir.
See, like, it's on my arm too. See my logo? Look at that.
I dig it. So
I carried that around in my wallet for like the last 2 years that I was on the slope, and I knew I wanted to like, start blowing glass again. Like I started in '99, but I don't think I officially like started blowing glass full time until like 2008.
So what was the deciding factor? Like, what was the significant moment where you're like, because I have a couple of friends who've left their high-paying jobs in the slope. So the hot dog lady, right? She and her husband took their they left their super duper, like their high-paying slope jobs so that they could do their passion jobs. Him as a mechanic and her slinging hot dogs. But they left those jobs. What was your deciding factor?
I got fired.
Okay.
I was going up on the slope the last like 5 shifts that I did, and every time I went up there, I was getting drug tested, and I could tell they were trying to get rid of me or something. And like the last time, the 6th time they drug tested me, I was like, well, man, if you want to just get rid of me, why don't you fire me? And the guy called me on that next shift, called me at home, and he's like, all right, well, we don't need you anymore. And I was super grateful that they fired me. Like, I don't think I ever would have quit that job because it was such a good paying job. I think I made 80 grand a year or something. I don't remember, but it was a lot of money at the time. And I lost my job, and then I put all my energy, I cashed out my 401k into blowing glass. And Planet X was one of those shops that picked up my work right away. And then I started, going to other shops and selling it. And I saw that I could actually make a living off of this again. And then I just went 100% into it all the way. And I haven't looked back since, and I'm still doing it. I still love what I do. It's an awesome job. I mean, shit, I roll up out of bed, I take a shower, I come out to the studio, and I blow glass all day. And like I said, everything I make is sold before I make it, and I can't keep up.
That's dope.
Yeah. If I had 10 people, I'd be retired, but it's just me.
Dude, you created so you created a product. I mean, from let's think about this from like an entrepreneurial perspective, just strictly entrepreneurial. You create a product. You've marketed your product, and you've successfully sold your product in a geographically large market for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fucking commendable. Like, there's restaurants don't like last 3 years on average.
Right.
Most businesses don't stick around that long, but your business has grown every year. And you're at the point now where, you don't want to call yourself a professional, but everything that you do, marks that you are. So it shows that you do the things that you're supposed to do, and you are getting the results that you're supposed to get. It's motivating, dude.
Thank you.
And one of my favorite rappers said, the comeback is always bigger than the setback.
Oh man, and the setback was savage, bro. The setback was savage as hell. I lived in a big ass house with my ex-wife. We had all sorts of cash in the pocket, and yeah, she straight up exploded the whole lifestyle, and now it's starting over again. You know what I mean? And I got back more than I lost already. So it's been definitely motivating to start over with nothing.
I think that people are going to listen to this. Hopefully lots of people are going to listen to this. Hopefully everyone that ever exists listens to this. But I think that I think that what you're saying is really important, because it's a thing of just existing, right? It's part of existence where we get to a certain place. It's part of our hero's journey, as it were, right? You have a life, like, and you've restarted your life, like, just in this conversation, like 3 times you restarted your life. It's whether it's working in the liquor store and then talking to the old man, and then essentially creating a market, right? Like, that's the other thing to talk about, right? Is how many other glass blowers are there in Alaska that operate at your level?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, probably because you're focused on your shit.
That's right. I don't got time to look at anybody else's stuff, man. And I got nothing but love and respect for everybody else out there trying to make a living.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I don't know of too many people that are like in this market, and would this market exist the way it does without people like you? And this market exists everywhere. That's the really cool thing, is like, you can go to like Washington, like Spokane, there are glass galleries. Like Anchorage, what was it? There was a head shop that was right across the street from the mall. It was pretty dope.
It was called Glass on Fifth. It was owned by a guy named Jesse. I did business with that cat. He was a really friendly dude, and I was sad to see his business, not make it. But that's the business. Not everybody's gonna make it.
I think in that case it was probably a really expensive rent to be in that place, be in that location. But what they were doing with like the First Friday art stuff was super rad. And it had become like it had become a spot to like, I learned a lot about like designer glass, from that place. Like I didn't know it existed. And then, when I finally I go back to Spokane and I see, like other metropolitan areas that have these, these glass galleries where people
Right.
are selling $2,000 dab rigs.
Right. And that market doesn't seem to really exist in Alaska. And if it did, I think I would cater to it.
I think the only reason that we can say that market doesn't exist is because you haven't done it yet, or
That's right.
somebody hasn't done it yet. Somebody hasn't put together and figured out how to do that, like at that level. But I do think that market does exist. I think that I think because places like Glass on Fifth don't exist anymore, or that I don't know enough about them if they do. But I do think that people will buy a nice rig. I think people will think of it as an investment. I can say that my cosmic pipe is an investment, right? It has held its value to me as a consumer. And if you've ever hit out of a $2,000 dab rig, I'm not going to say why it's a $2,000 dab rig, but there's a reason besides I can't afford it. But like a $2,000 dab rig with nice MCT oil that you're hitting out of hits like a clean mother lover, and that person is taking care of their rig. They're making sure their shit's not all chazzed up.
Right. Well, that's definitely a market that I'm shooting for in the future, man. It's just that my work schedule and my flow of work has me focused on making my spoons and my other products 150% of my time due to the fact that it's just me.
I think it's very rad though, like just to step back for a second and realize that before you make a piece, it's sold.
Yes.
Like that's fucking dope. Like that's a really dope thing. Like, yeah, it's not a problem. That's a cool thing. And you appreciate it as a cool thing. That's the other cool thing is for me, like it's refreshing for me because like you love what you do. Like,
yes,
you wake up and you do it, and then you go to sleep and then you do it again.
But it's a balance. But it's a balance, man. I can't just trade all of my life for money. You know what I mean? Like I don't even care about money. If that's one thing my divorce taught me, it's like it's not that fucking important. It shouldn't be the focus of your life. I think the money comes as a byproduct of your passion and whether you're going to sustain that or not. But if you're just seeking the money, it's you're going to burn out.
This is like truth bomb after truth. So normally, like I'm talking to conspiracy folks, and it's truth bomb after truth bomb after truth bomb. But this is a whole different thing. I appreciate this. I really hope that what people get from this conversation is that it's imperative to enjoy what you do, what you're putting your effort into, because it's effort. It is work.
It is.
But you have to love it. There's somebody out there, like I shit on them all the time. There's somebody that fucking loves being an accountant. Like that dude gets excited every morning. He's like, I got my adding machine. I got all my rolls of like adding machine tape. I'm ready to punch some buttons. I'm ready to do some counting because I am the accountant. That dude exists, and I'm grateful that dude exists. But I also know that there have to be people that are doing that job because they got stuck into it because they spent $80,000 on a college degree, or they got trapped into this idea of like what it takes to exist, or what it takes to be a person, or what it takes to be successful, because they get wrapped up in whatever the idea is. And like 3 different times. Like you've stepped away from that and you've had to change paths. Like it's important that people have to know they can do it. Like
I think a lot of us follow what our parents kind of guided us to do. You know what I mean? And I fought against that as a kid when I was growing up. My dad wanted to be just like him, and I didn't want to follow that path.
So what did you want to do when you were a kid?
I didn't really have any focus until I was 21 and I saw this glass blowing magazine, and that's when it hit me, and then I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life.
By the way, anyone who didn't tap in when we started this conversation 8 hours ago, he still has that magazine. Like, it's very important. In his shop right now, he has the High Times magazine from 1999 that changed his life. He has that every fucking day. He looks at that. Like, he's been married and divorced and fucking has been through shit. And the fucking High Times glass of 1999 episode is in the studio.
Yes, it is.
I think that matters. I think that matters. I think it's good that I think it's very cool that you look at it every day.
I do. I don't look at it every day, but I did pull it out of the box to show my my new assistant here just the other day, and I was like, holy shit, I still have this in a box. It's right here. Take a look. This is what inspired me. And yeah, it changed my life.
That's cool, man. Have you ever reached out to the author?
No.
Yeah, that dude probably used a pseudonym. Like, this 99, like that, whatever his name was probably not his name. It was like Hinkle Dinkelson or something. Like, but that's not his real name.
It was by a guy named Chris Udele. That's who wrote the article back then.
I don't know. Maybe.
It's got a bunch of Jerome Baker bongs in there and shit. That guy's been around for years.
So is he like one of the OGs of glassblowing?
Yeah. He was
so
one of the ones. He was one of the guys that got arrested back when they were arresting Tommy Chong back in when was that? 2003 when they came after all the poor pipe makers. Maybe you don't even know the story, but yeah, the government found us to be criminals there for a minute, and they shut down all the head shops across the country. It was called Operation Pipe Dreams.
I remember. So I got Tommy's book, The Tao of Chong, and he kind of talked about that a little bit. By the way, Constantly Conscious one is from Amsterdam. Like, she's she's in the UK right now, but she's from Amsterdam. So shout out to Amsterdam.
I've never been there.
So I grew up in Germany. We got to went to Amsterdam because they had cool record stores in the 90s. There's a record store called Fat Beats, and they had all of the cool American rap imports. Mm-hmm. So you could go there and they would just have shit you couldn't find anywhere else because really unique and exclusive stuff, because that's where American rappers would go for weed, right? Like, if you can get a tour to Europe, that means that you could probably stop in Amsterdam and get as much weed as you could get, right? And back then, I think it was, and I don't know what the rules are now, but it was 50, I think you could only have a max of 50 grams of cannabis in the store. It was really weird laws. So, I mean, but rappers would still, rappers, musicians, any kind of artist. So you'd have just exclusive shit. And at the time, you could also buy shrooms in stores.
I love shrooms. Shrooms.
So you could go to a store and you could buy, X amount of, you could buy just shrooms. This is what I want. And then someone like a bud tender would be like, okay, well, this is what you want. And
it's too bad we can't do that here in Alaska.
Dude, the fact that you can't is criminal.
I agree.
If you have something that science, real science, has proven, the VA has studies.
It helps people.
And
it helped me. It's helped me.
Dude, the VA has used MDMA for therapy, right? The the government is completely aware of the benefits of low-cost psychotropic drugs and psychedelic drugs, and like Effective Mindset is, it's all about big pharma. They're going to sell you the bootleg fake version of whatever it is that's something that from nature that occurs naturally is going to give you. They'll give you a synthetic one that is bullshit, that is poison, that is and they're going to charge your insurance company X amount of dollars to prescribe you this thing, which, by the way, you can grow them yourself, with very little effort. For very little effort and very little energy, you can heal yourself from a lot of your emotional illnesses. And a lot of your emotional illnesses, when you start clearing those up, your physical shit's going to take care of itself. Right. You're just going to start taking better care of yourself when you start clearing your mind out. But if everybody did that, well, then we wouldn't have any more sick people.
No.
And people would stop eating at Applebee's. And we can't have people stop eating at Applebee's.
I don't eat at McDonald's myself. I haven't been there in like a decade.
So good on you. Every once in a while, like, I don't eat there regularly. Today I went for a double cheeseburger and a small Coke. It was my yeah, like I was like, you know what? Like I feel like a real piece of shit today. I'm gonna eat and that was it. Today's a piece of shit day. I'm a double cheeseburger and a small Coke.
That's funny. I went to a local restaurant called the Windbreak today, or the Trout House, and had a California burger with my friend, and she had a shroom burger. And that's a lot better than a fucking Mickey D's sandwich. You know what I mean?
100%.
Sit down at the local spot.
Now, so when you say a shroom burger, was it like a portobello as like the bun, or was it like just a whole bunch of mushrooms on?
Just a whole bunch of mushrooms on the burger, and then I think there was even an egg on her hamburger.
Okay. And so the California burger was what, avocado and egg and bacon, or what?
Avocado and Swiss and bacon. And the freaking burger was like $17, man. That's why people go to Mickey D's. You want to sit down and get a cheeseburger, it's almost $20 these days.
Okay, so let's also admit that we live in one of the most expensive places to live. Like,
absolutely.
If you want a good cheeseburger. If you want a good cheeseburger, Alaska's not a cheap place to get a good cheeseburger.
No, but I'll pay the money. You know what I mean? I'll pay it.
100%. And sometimes you have to cop to your piece of shit moments. Like, and today I succumbed to a piece of shit moment. And in the end, I will say that, like, I stayed up. We're hitting 1:30 our time to have a good conversation. So
it's all good, man. I don't get to talk to people that much, so it's nice to talk to you this evening.
So most of my days, like, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm in school right now, do the podcast, but most of my days, for a huge chunk of it, I'm talking to a 20-month-old child, right? So I get yes, I get no, I get daddy. I don't get a lot of communication not a lot of verbal communication from the boy. So anytime I get to talk to a grown-up is great.
That's how I feel.
So thank you.
No problem.
All right. So what was the last good record you listened to?
I've been listening to Mac Miller all day.
Okay. Any particular album or?
All of them. I'm on SoundCloud, so I'm kind of scrolling through his whole catalog when I'm listening to his music. Okay. I'm usually listening to Mac Miller or some rap music. I used to like to listen to Rick Ross a lot. I find that music kind of inspirational.
So if you like Rick Ross, just came out today. There's a guy by the name of Benny the Butcher. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
No.
So his label Griselda is actually signed to Shady Records, but they've also got like a management deal with Jay-Z's rock management. Super, like, man, if Rick Ross wasn't the corrections officer, but was in fact the guy that was doing 10 years, that would be Benny the Butcher. He really reminds me of like late 90s Jay-Z, and he makes a couple of references to the album. It's also like his first record on Def Jam. but it's produced largely by the Alchemist and a guy by the name of Derringer. Now, if you tuned into what's going on the East Coast, guys like West Side Gun, Conway the Machine, and Benny the Butcher, a camp called Griselda, and they make super grimy music, like just like grimier than Mobb Deep. Like, I don't know if you ever got into Mobb Deep, but like if Mobb Deep were the Ninja Turtles underground, like being raised by a ninja rat and surviving off professional wrestling as their only form of entertainment. But like it's I think that like listening to his music is, I think Denzel Washington was talking about like culture, right? Like you can listen to something and you can hear when someone's been through the pain they're discussing. Like whatever the thing that is hurting them, whatever the thing they're talking about, they have actual experience with, right? And that's what I got from this record. It's called Tana Talk 4. Alchemist was also one of the, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Alchemist.
No.
Okay, so man, I'm glad we talked. So Alchemist has been a monster producer on the East Coast for a very long time. He's actually from the West Coast, from the Soul Assassins camp with Cypress Hill. But he produces, I don't know how to put it, man. He produces a lot of different stuff in a lot of different ways. He did, in a weird way, he had an art video project with a photographer by the name of Jason Goldwatch. He did 2 albums called Yacht Rock, which was it was like, what was it, Michael McDonald music with rappers on top of it, like what you would listen to on a yacht while you were smoking cigarettes with your dame in 1985. With, like drinking a bush, you got like the mask going, maybe you've got full wind behind you, you got the boombox cranked up, and you got a can of Old Gold in your hand.
That's fun.
So that's, man. Are you familiar with Action Bronson?
Yes, I enjoy some of his music. I've recently discovered that in like the last year or two, his music. Okay, so Alchemist does a lot of that production.
He's the guy that is responsible for a lot of Action Bronson's like sound. And this dude Derringer, producer out of Buffalo, it took what they were doing and just made it even better and scarier. Like they make music for, I don't know, like an urban horror movie. Like a horror movie in the city, like the worst shit, the worst lives ever. But they make that music and they do it really well. And it's a weird thing where like dudes from Buffalo now have like murals up in Hungary, like people. It's super underground, super grimy shit. And I don't know, like I like to listen to music when I drive. And we live in Alaska. This is perfect cold weather driving music.
I listen to a lot of 80s music. I'm an 80s kid.
Okay.
I like Prince. I like Madonna. I like George Michael. That's my jam.
Now, were you a Wham George Michael or a George Michael?
Both, really.
Okay. So
I like Phil Collins. Love Phil Collins.
Phil Collins is a bad motherfucker. Like Phil Collins made music for like ugly people to have sex to. Like Phil Collins made being ugly sexy.
That's really funny.
If you like George Michael, I don't know how I love music, man. I love talking about music. George Michael dropped a record in 1999. It's called Songs of the Century, the American Songbook. And he's singing shit like Mac the Knife, and like just these old American songs. But he's singing them like jazz tunes. Oh, he sang Roxanne from The Police. And he sang
Love Sting.
He sang it as a ballad with like jazz behind him. It was intense. It was fucking dope. You know what? I'm
I
a
haven't
George
heard
Michael
that.
fan. I'll
I
own
haven't
it.
heard that yet.
Yeah, and he liked the party. You know what? George Michael is not a man who like did not have a fun time in his existence, right? I think that if there's one thing that we can say about George Michael, as short as his very talented life was, he had fun.
Right.
He had. We don't remember the other dude in Wham. I think his name was Andrew something or other.
I don't remember the other dude either. That's funny you say that.
But George Michael, that dude liked to party, and he partied like he was peak partying, like throughout his life. Bless his heart. You know, we miss him and his like he made partying a talent. He didn't seem like a guy who didn't have a good time all the time.
I'm having a good time. I just don't party. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? If he learned how to do it without the cocaine, you know, we'd still have him. You know, like if he'd discovered jujitsu or kickboxing and fucking kombucha, a little bit of kombucha. Man, I just took an 8-pound shit. These probiotics are fantastic.
I've been getting this stuff from Costco in a 6-pack, and that shit it isn't cheap, man. It's like $18 for a freaking 6-pack of kombucha out here in the valley.
At that point, then, like, it probably makes more sense just to find out. Like down here, we have a local like kombucha brewer. Like, I'm sure you've got to have somebody in the valley that brews kombucha at like an affordable, like in a more affordable rate. You can go in and buy
I haven't found them yet, but I hope if they watch this show, they can get in touch with me. I need a guy. I need a guy for my kombucha.
I need a kombucha. Let's go where you are. I got a great booch guy. He's got scobies.
That's really funny.
So passion gig. So we do have Kenai River Kombucha down here. And it was started by a husband-wife team. He's a Marine veteran who had one of those good-ass jobs in the oil fields, but really just kind of wanted to be a dad and a husband. He spent his time away, but he was a welder, so he found a way to incorporate that in making. They're not Silsevitz kombucha, but whatever it is that you make the kombucha in, like he started fabricating it.
He did it himself.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
and created a business and a brand with with his person.
That's awesome.
So I think that things become a lot easier when you have a team, right? And it's a team of two people, like it's still a team, because whether it's marriage, whether it's work, whatever it is, it just balances it out. Whether it's a lover or just someone that you can depend on, it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely what I miss about being married, was having a partner. You know what I mean? But when it came down to it, it just obviously I was in that relationship for the amount of time I needed to be in it, and now it's over.
Well, the other thing is you've had to do a lot of the things that this other person did. You had to figure out how to do them yourself and do them yourself.
Right.
So, and you probably figured out a couple of ways to shorten the process. You probably got rid of the 20% of customers who are 80% of your headaches, which, by the way, man, I'm going to say again, check out Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. It's available on Audible. Listen to it. If you wrote down anything that
I wrote that down.
Okay. If you're at home, Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, it'll change your life. And then go back to it every once in a while and see how you're doing.
That's a solid review right there. I think you're going to convince some other people to check it out too.
And because time is a commodity, right?
Absolutely.
We talked about earlier, you got to say the things that you got to say because no one's going to say them for you. And so Tim Ferriss, the idea of getting rid of the shit in your life that you don't want to do, especially as an entrepreneur, right? Like you've run out of time to do this. There are the things that you just don't want to do. Maybe it's you don't want to set up your Excel spreadsheets. That's kind of like the beauty of a virtual assistant.
I haven't done that yet. I don't have any Excel spreadsheets at all. I need to get a computer. I lost that in the divorce.
Well, they're pretty cheap now. You can probably get a tablet. It's not 84 where you like it's your Apple IIc is $5,000.
I know they sell them at Costco. I just haven't had the time to go down there and buy one yet. You know what I mean? I'm a busy guy.
Damn it! If you're going there to buy your 6-pack of $40 kombucha.
Now, I've been going to Three Bears. I said Costco, but I meant Three Bears.
Yo, Three Bears is
they're in the
shit.
valley.
Three Bears is the shit. We have Three Bears here.
Okay.
So for those of you who are listening in another part of the world, like the UK, God bless you. Three Bears, like we live in, man, I don't even know how to explain it. Our state has a population of 700,000 people. If you are in London right now, your neighborhood has a population of probably of our second and third largest cities.
Right.
And that's not an understatement. Like we have a huge amount. Okay, so I'm in business classes, so I've had to go through like our census numbers. Per square mile, the population of the Kenai, we have 3.3 people per square mile on the Kenai Peninsula. We are roughly the size of West Virginia with about 58,000 year-round residents. And this is just the Kenai Peninsula, right? This is just a plot of land. Our state is, I don't know if we're bigger than Europe. I think we're bigger than Europe. We're fucking huge. I mean, and we're not even talking about like including the Aleutian Islands, which stretches it out almost to Russia. But our state is huge.
Yes.
It's gigantic, and a lot of it is not accessible by road. Like you have towns that you can only get to by river.
I get there by the U.S. Postal Service. That's how I get to all these places.
Yes, that's how his products get there because you can't get there on the road. So like Ketchikan, which is Stony Moose, a place that sells his stuff, you can only get there by plane or by boat.
Right.
And so, which is weird because, and I got to learn more about this, but I think there's been some recent static and pushback, and this is kind of a cannabis thing, with getting private planes to fly product to different parts of the state.
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, so
I'd love to get on one of those planes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, shit, man. God, dude, like, yeah, those planes are dope. Those George Young planes. Man. Again, he had fun. George Young had fun. He was incarcerated. They made a movie about the best and worst years of his life. But when he got out, he still had fun.
Yeah. He was really famous there when he got out, too. I remember seeing his Instagram account. I used to like his posts, and I think he passed away, didn't he?
Very recently, yeah. Dude, when they made a movie about his life, Johnny Depp played him.
Right. It was a good movie.
And young Johnny Depp, too. Like, swarthy, handsome. Now he's like older, scary lady. Now he looks like a lady who spends too much time at the bar but hasn't gotten fat, but it's because she smokes.
That's funny, your assessment of Johnny Depp.
Hey, you know what? It works for him.
Right.
I'm sure he's happy. I think he owns castles.
I think that's what happens when you get that famous, man. I don't know.
Like, at what point in fame do you buy a castle, though? Like, what point? I mean, I understand there's a point in wealth where you're like, you know what, fuck it, maybe I should buy a castle. But like, what is the level of fame that you're at where you're like, fuck it, I should buy a castle? And he had like a castle in France. Like, bro, you were in the first fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, which, not a knock, I wasn't. All right, that's one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
I remember those.
You know, like that was before they decided to make Freddy Krueger a pedophile.
That's
Totally
really
fucked it
funny.
up for me.
That's really funny. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, they did. So it was when they brought him back into like they never explained why the parents killed him, right? They never really went into that. They said he murdered children, right? They said he murdered children in the first like in the original canon, the original story. Freddy Krueger was a bad guy who just killed children. And then when they redid like the 2012 version, they're like, well, now we've got to give them a reason to be to make him a shithead, and then they made him a pedophile. So and then they continued to make him a Halloween costume. So like if you're following the canon, if you are calling yourself a real Nightmare on Elm Street fan, when you're dressing up on Halloween as Freddy Krueger, you're dressing up as a pedophile.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, that's well, when you have a podcast like Woke and Baked, you have to overthink these things.
Woke and Baked. Okay, now it's coming to me, man. Now I'm starting to see the picture here.
So
now
I used to host.
I got it now. I didn't know that.
So I used to host a radio show called The Wake and Bake. It was like my first real job out of the military. I was a disc jockey. Like I hosted the morning show, and my last name is Baker, so it kind of worked out. So it was The Wake and Bake. I loved coffee, and I still love coffee, and I still love wheat. But when I was no longer at the radio station and they owned the name, it was like, all right, well, woke and baked. I'm already up, I'm already stoned, and I already have a propensity to overthink things to the point where they're no longer enjoyable. And that's I think, ultimately, like the goal of woke culture is to make nothing fun, which is the irony of it all.
I know it's depressing to be woke.
It really is because it means that you have to overthink everything. And here's the example. I love the Wu-Tang Clan.
Me too.
They are my favorite fucking group of all time. I love the shit out of Wu-Tang Clan. Yes.
They're woke.
Fucking love. If you really want to go down the woke rabbit hole, you have to talk about cultural appropriation. And then you have to start talking about the Wu-Tang Clan, and then you have to start, and then you have to ruin everything. And it doesn't matter that it came from them being fans of kung fu movies. Like that doesn't matter. No, sir, you incorporated Chinese culture for your personal profit, and you turn it into the soundtrack of violence. Sir, the Shaolin monks would be truly upset at what you are doing. Meanwhile, I've never spoken to a Shaolin monk. I've just decided to virtue signal from hell. And that's the worst part of it. It's like, so part of hosting a podcast where I talk to people about crazy shit is you talk to people about crazy shit that they don't necessarily believe, but that they have to say they believe to make themselves different.
Gotcha.
To say that they've got an original idea, but it's not an original idea. You don't actually believe this crazy thing that you're telling me, and I can see you don't believe it because you're not saying it with any conviction, right? You don't say it like it's a thing you really believe in. But with that, like I feel like taking a step back. Yeah, I know where I was going, man. It's late and I'm stoned.
You're saying I'm saying it, I don't believe in it. What are you talking about?
So, man, there have been folks so the alien guy, the guy that said he was abducted and he, had this experience, right?
Gotcha.
Like the alien extracted his semen. When I talked to him about it, and when he told me about it, like he believed, like he was traumatized talking to me about it because now I've got to share this thing that nobody's gonna believe me. You're just gonna think I'm crazy, Bill. Maybe, but I still want to hear about your alien sex story. But I've spoken to other people who've had other types of extremist views, and I don't mean like crazy racist extremist views, but believe things that are kind of fringe, right? And I'm I get into Stargates. I think it's way easier to believe that we went into Iraq because Saddam Hussein had a Stargate. I'd rather that be the reason that we went there than oil. All right.
The weapons of mass destruction. That's what I remember.
Yeah, no, that's what they said. What they meant was Stargate.
Right.
And if they told us it was for a Stargate, I would have loved it. I would have been like, fuck it, we got to get the the Stargate back. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Beyonce's high priestess in fucking Evil Secrets. Yeah. There's a lot of shit out there. There's mentioning Jay. Yeah. So there's there's a lot of shit out there. But it's like when someone tells you that they've got this crazy conspiracy theory that they don't they don't believe it, but they're going to tell you all about it. But they're not. They know a lot about some shit that they don't actually believe in, but they just want to rattle some shit off to say that they believe in some shit.
Mm. I find that I can't express those kind of viewpoints in my my particular business because I find that it kind of turns my clients off. So I've kind of shied away from having any kind of political perspective sharing on my Instagrams or any of that shit.
Oh, I built my brand on weird shit.
And I've just been building my brand on my pipes, man, and my passion for my work. Like I've kept my mouth shut for the last couple of years because I got a lot of blowback from sharing my perspectives back in the day.
Yeah, and I guess and not
censored by the fucking public. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I get that too. Like, people want to feel attached. People get upset about anything, and if you're selling a product, people will protest with their pockets.
Yes, absolutely. And so I've totally remained neutral, man, on every topic lately. I don't even
not even the lizards.
Nothing.
Not even on the lizard people.
No.
You're pro lizard people, is what you're saying.
Oh, I'm all about it. No, man, come on. I used to be way into that shit when I was working on the slope, though. You know what I mean? I'd sit there and listen to Alan Watts' podcast all night. I don't know if you know who that guy is.
Alan Watts is great. I love Alan Watts. Alan Watts changed my life.
And he was like hanging out in Canada, broadcasting his podcast every night for years. I think he still does it. You know who I'm talking about?
Well, Alan Watts is the British philosopher who's dead.
No. This is a different guy. You got to look it up. It's called Cutting Through the Matrix.
Okay.
Cutting Through the Matrix with Alan Watt. He's got a symbol of like a him kicking a pyramid or something on his website.
Okay. Cutting Through the Matrix.
Unless they pulled his fucking website down. I haven't looked it up in a long time.
I mean, here's the crazy thing is you're seeing things that are getting erased from
the memory hole.
Yeah. So what was the name of it again? It was what the Matrix?
Cutting Through the Matrix. He was
Alan
right up.
Watt.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Alan Watt and Alan Watts, two totally different people.
Two totally different people. He was right up there with Alex Jones, and he got pulled down too. But that guy used to rattle this stuff off all night, every day, and I used to listen to his podcast like every night.
I've never heard of this dude.
Really?
I'm learning, man. So I heard recently about like Arctic giants. So one dude who I don't think is full of shit, I told him, I honestly don't believe nukes are real. Like I don't think, and I have no evidence to back. I'm not going to say that. But this particular cat told me, he was explaining how what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine goes back 10,000 years to an ancient tribe of like Arctic giants, like from the Arctic Circle giants.
Mm-hmm.
The Bohemians. Yeah. Gosh, gosh, the name's escaping me at the moment. But yeah, so they're like North Arctic giants, and like that's how what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia is tied to that.
Well, the last thing they're going to ever tell us is the truth, man. So we'll never know.
100%. So here's my thing. Here's why nukes aren't real. Okay, so there are large swaths of Nevada where you cannot live, allegedly because of nuclear testing. However, after they dropped bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they immediately rebuilt at those two very same places. In fact, you could go and lay a wreath at the very spot that the Fat Man and Little Boy landed. You can lay a wreath. However, you can't go to parts of Nevada because of that very same reason. Now the big thing is, because all this shit is like circumstantial until you get to this part. The fall of the Soviet Union, and we're talking about how many countries now that have nuclear weapons, right? We're talking about well over 20 countries, and not all of them are led by stable people, right? There are some theocracies in there, and we're not talking about mutually assured destruction anymore. Like we used to be able to talk about, if Russia shot nukes, if America shot nukes, everyone is dying, right? But allegedly, there are small tactical nukes. We still haven't had any of those go off. We haven't had any crazy people that hate society who also there's been no Bond bad guys to let anyone off. And we know that the world is full of Bond bad guys. They exist because the Bond movies exist for that very reason, because there have to be rich, evil people to keep the black market, the real black market going, the real trading, the real ugly stuff. So one of those guys who really hates people would have access to a nuclear weapon by now. One of those would have gone off. One of these countries that doesn't exactly have the most stable government, whose governments have been overthrown. And in the Soviet Union, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, when they're selling, fucking helicopters, they're selling submarines. Okay? Right. You could buy there are warlords with Russian submarines. How fucking cool is that? Like, there is probably a warlord in Africa with a submarine. Like, fuck it. I got a submarine. I own the sea. Oh, Somalia's got pirates? Boom. I got ICBMs. Boo! but none of those guys, none of those bad guys have gotten one. Right? Like, but you'd imagine they'd have one. Like, we're talking like 60, 70 years since Fat Man and Little Boy dropped. There are supposed to be 23 countries with nuclear weapons, and none of this has happened. No bad guys. There hasn't even been like a bomb accident. And they're accidents all the time, train derailments, all kinds of accidents. But we haven't had a single accident with nuclear weapons. Shit, they didn't know where American nuclear weapons were for hours when they were shipping them between bases, going back to 2007. They didn't know where nuclear weapons were for hours, and that's the stuff that we're allowed to know about, right? So you're telling me that, I have a hard time with a lot of things that we get told.
Yeah, we don't get really anything, man. I think the only information you can really count on is what you hear from the people on the street, and even then, you got to question where the hell they got the information.
Absolutely. Plus, I'd rather live in a world where there are no nuclear weapons. Just makes things a lot easier. Because if I'm wrong, I'm not that. If I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. There you go. If I'm wrong, no one will give a shit. Right. I'm sorry. I'm going through some of these comments.
You got comments on your end? I don't see anything on my end.
Yeah. So, Khazaria, the Ashkenazi, not Bohemian. None of it is real. There's a lot of crazy shit. Like Antarctica was another one that I got really curious about for a very, very long time. So, Like I want to live in a world where the Nazis got to the dark side of the moon and they were shot out of submarines from Antarctica. Like that's way cooler than anything else. I mean, like it's not cool that the Nazis were doing it, but it's kind of cool that it happened. Like if you were shooting submarines from Antarctica into space, you know, that's
Well,
pretty cool.
they do have bases there. I've seen pictures of that stuff.
Oh yeah, there's like a long history of crazy shit happening in Antarctica. Military pilots who've come back with these incredible experiences and these incredible stories of picking up, you know, researchers who have had, you know, experiences that left them traumatized. And there are enough of these accounts of crazy things happening there that there has to be something. It's such a huge place. It's like when people talk about the mysteries of Alaska. Like, is there a Port Chatham Harriman? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that I think it's the Kushnaqua. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
No.
so that's the Otterman. So like Alaska has like 8 different Bigfoot type characters. And one of them is the Otterman. He's half man, half otter.
No, I never heard of that.
Yeah. And so I feel bad saying this. I was highly offended that the state of Alaska used a Northern California Bigfoot for its marketing and promotion last year of the state fair. It really upset me.
That's funny because I see there's a Sasquatch in the swamps on the right side of the highway. If you're coming out to the valley, somebody took a wood cutout and stuck him out there.
And is it the one that we normally see, the outline?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
there's one way off, and it is. It's funny you talking about this. Makes me think there's somebody out there that wants everybody to see Bigfoot out there on the flats. You know.
So here's the crazy thing. That's the Patterson Gimli Bigfoot, right? So which is commonly recognized as a fraud. It's a guy in a monkey suit, right? And it comes from an 8-second like poorly recorded clip. But it's a Northern California Bigfoot. If that we've got someone that wants to join real quick. Bryce Gammon. He's been tuned in for a minute, and he wants to join. He has a story that he needs to share.
It's all good.
Yeah. Bryce, my man.
So, hi guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
Wonderful, Bryce.
We're talking about mythical creatures, and this is just something I've got to get off my chest. I've been thinking about a while. The other night, I think I saw a Baphomet, the Satanist worshiper god in my backyard. I'm pretty sure what I saw might have been that or an alien.
Okay. I've got a lot of questions, and I don't really know where to start. Okay. I'm going to assume that either Bryce is full of shit, but I appreciate he's been tapped in for a while if he's full of shit. But I've got more. If he's for real, I got more questions. Like I really got more questions.
That was random.
Yeah, yo, Bryce, I saw that you came in a long time ago, man. So like, thanks for sticking it out. But if you've got more on that, I've got real questions. No, Bryce, come back. I'm not doubting you. I want to hear your story. If you tell me that you saw Baphomet or an alien in your backyard, dude, I live in Alaska. I see all kinds of crazy shit in my backyard, mostly moose. But like, I want to hear about it. I'm not knocking you, but it was not something that I expected to hear. So Bryce, if you want to come in, if you want to pop back in and you want to talk about what you saw, I really do want to. He's messaging saying he's loved my stuff. It's all love. Dude, pop back on. People want to ask you questions. Like you piqued my. I was excited to talk to Jeremiah and learn about entrepreneurship and running a business. But you also say you saw Baphomet, which, to be fair, I think Jeremiah is kind of curious about as well. He's smiling, so he's not interested. Like, you know,
I'm familiar with the name, yeah, for sure.
We're up late. You
Yeah,
know, like
it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but it's all good.
yeah, it is. We're having fun. And so, yeah, dude, Bryce, if you want to come back in and tell us what you think you saw, or what you saw, like, people want to know. Like, people are curious. People who have been here this long want to know. I want to know. And I'm not disbelieving. It wasn't what I was expecting to hear.
No, me
Right?
neither. That was kind of funny.
Yeah. So, like, if you want to pop back in, Bryce, I would love it if you did. All right. Because I haven't had that experience. I've seen stuff in the sky.
I've seen stuff in the sky.
Lots of people have seen stuff in the sky that we can't
I've seen like a
explain.
spaceship when I was up on the slope. I've seen that.
I had a guy tell me he saw us like translucent flying stuff in Saudi Arabia, but tell me what you saw on the slope.
I saw like a white light spinning up and around in the sky, and it came down to the ground really close. And it was back in like 1998 when I worked as a juggie on the slope. I was stomping cans in the ground, making $7.25 an hour. That was like my very first slope job. And all of us in the little tractor thing we were in saw this happen. It was like just a bright light zipping around in circles, and it came down to the fucking ground, and then it zipped up and did a bunch more circles, and it disappeared. But it wasn't like a regular American jet or anything. You know what I mean? It was just a bright white light.
And this is the 90s, right? So it's not a drone.
No, it was back in 98. Then, maybe it was a drone, because I'm pretty sure the technology we're seeing today is ancient technology that they had before.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Absolutely, to a degree, but not like military drone technology in the slope. I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily where they would be testing drone technology. I don't know. Maybe it's cold, and you got to see if your shit works in the cold.
Right.
So
that's
maybe
what I saw.
like that's. I haven't had that, man. I wish. I mean, like, I've seen shit. Like, I've seen lights. I've seen things move around, but nothing that I can say is that's definitely not a plane. Because where we live in Alaska, lots of people have small planes. And so maybe you can see it, but you can't hear it. Maybe it's some dude out there doing his night flying. It could, like, where I live, it could be anything. And the North Slope, which is not, if haven't been there, my understanding is it's kind of sparsely populated.
It's a big empty space, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the chances of it being something else are pretty slim.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But that was my one thing I saw one time.
Yeah, I haven't had that either. I mean, I've been out like in like my fire pit, like begging to see something. Like, it's a big Alaska sky. I just want to see something. Like, I would hate to go through like all this whole entire thing and not see an alien. Like, my whole entire existence and not actually see an alien. I'd be really bummed out.
I think we see aliens every time we turn on the TV, man. These people can't be real.
So I had an IG live that got kicked off multiple times because I said, and I don't know if this is why, but it was after I said that Joe Biden looked like a deep fake that was written by people who take drug tests.
I think that's fucking right close to the truth.
And how scary is it, though, that like we have so little faith in our media that that we've considered that is a possibility, not necessarily a reality, but that is a possibility.
It's absolutely a possibility.
And we wouldn't rule our media out of doing some shit like that.
Oh, hell no. Because they're a business too. It's a business.
There's too many examples. There's too many examples of journalists with connections to three-letter agencies, whether it's Anderson Cooper and CIA, or who is feeding all of this information to everyone, from the Justice Department to the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal, whoever it was that. Everybody's getting sued by Project Veritas, I guess, but We don't have faith in our media. We just don't
No,
trust them.
and you shouldn't. If you're a smart thinking person, you shouldn't.
But the fucked up thing is it's like that all over the place. It's
Yeah,
not just
it's all over the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the crazy thing is it's not just the United States, right? Like and if you're in the United Kingdom, like it's not just the United Kingdom. Nobody trusts their media. Nobody trusts the talking heads.
No.
I mean,
but you know what? The majority do. The majority. They're paying attention and they're following every rule. Aren't they? They got their masks on.
Yeah.
That's my perception.
Yeah, like, man.
The majority aren't questioning anything, man.
Well, I think the majority just want to like not feel like they're getting hassled in their media or like in their daily life. Like, I'll wear a mask just because I don't want to get, breathed down my neck. But like, the shit makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to do it, and there's no good reason to do it. Don't fucking do it. We live. A great thing about when we live and where we live and the time that we live is that everything ultimately, like truth, math, science, everything is subjective at this point. If you don't want to live the miserable existence, choose to live the less miserable existence, and then follow that and keep doing that.
That's what I'm doing every day, man. I don't turn on my TV. I turn on my torch and I go to work and I do the best job I can. Like, I don't even look at the TV at night when I get off work. I barely look at that shit unless my kids are here and we watch cartoons.
So that's a thing Tim Ferriss goes over in his book, in 4 Hour Work Week. Like he doesn't get his news from the newspaper. He doesn't get it from the internet. He figures if he's going to hear about something, he's going to hear about something, and he's going to get his information from a person he trusts to vet the information. Not just the guy on TV who, gets angry for 12 minutes and, between commercial breaks, and then comes back with a solution that's just more yelling. Yeah. You're probably doing it right. I mean, if it's important enough, you'll hear about it. Someone will tell you if you need to know.
Well, I think you're going to find out when you go to the grocery store and you see that mayonnaise costs $7 that something's not right.
Shit. Oh, all right. Constantly, consciously. All right. I don't know what you're probably, I'm assuming liters. Yeah, you're in liters. So what are you paying for a liter of gas in England? Because that's, Europe pays more than we pay for gas. Substantially more. And they're paying in a different method. So you end up with more liters inside of a gallon. So you could end up paying 3 or 4 times more for your gallon of gas than you would be paying in the States for that same amount.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So yeah, that sticker shock is going to fuck with a lot of people. But I think that sticker shock is going to learn. I mean, if you're paying $15 for a jar of the good mayonnaise, if you eat enough of it, you're probably going to go on the intrawebs and find out that mayonnaise is not that hard to make.
Right.
And so now, fuck, because there's no one else doing it. Now you've just created your craft mayonnaise industry in your small town. You sell it a little bit to your friends. Congratulations. Your trip to the grocery store is now a tax write-off. And hypothetically, I mean, maybe buying your bread is now a tax write-off too, because research and development.
Yeah, the bread's crazy too, man. It's like $8 for a loaf of bread out here in the valley. I get Dave's Killer Bread. It's $7.99 a loaf.
Okay, that's because you get Dave's Killer Bread, like in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were in a real place, it would still be the more expensive of the breads. But it's Dave's Killer Bread, which it's good bread. Yeah,
That's how I roll. I get the green one.
Classy son of a biscuit. You classy son of a biscuit. I'm a fan of the Franz San Jose 9 grain. Myself.
I haven't tried that. I'll have to give it a sample. But yeah, that's what I spend my pipe money on is food and electricity and gas, just like everybody else.
So your killer bread is better than this. I'll tell you that. But it's cheaper, and I got kids that live with me all the time, and a bunch of them, and they all eat a shitload of bread. So like, you get the cheap stuff.
Yeah, I only get my kids every other week. I get my 9 and my 6-year-old every other week.
So
I got shared custody.
So €1.50 or €1.60, unless that's the UK, and then it's £1.50, £1.60. Yeah, it's shit ain't cheap, bro. Like, it's stupid. It's miserable. It's buying, and the thing is, it's a resource. Like, it's a fucking resource. It comes from dirt, right? And there's a lot of it.
Even my glass is a resource. It comes from, sand.
But there's so fucking much of it, right?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's controlled by so few people.
Especially the glass industry. Like, it's controlled by, like, one person.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was, like, such a monopoly in the glass industry.
Yeah, and there's not many companies that sell the color either for my industry. It's a pretty small niche industry. And I've been dealing with them the whole time.
Yeah, so I have friends that I've got a friend that owns a restaurant. He's had to raise his prices like 3 times in the last 3 months.
Crazy.
Yeah, dude, he said that, like the cost, like his goods cost like 75% more than they did a year ago. Like, it's just
and that's the same for me in my industry, man. Like, my prices on colored glass went up 100% in the last 4 months, and I've had to raise my prices on my pipes $5 right across the board. But you know what? My clients haven't, abandoned ship. They've stuck with me, and they could have all just said, have a nice day.
Well, you also make a premium product,
right?
Like, if you made a shit product, right? Like, if you made something that, like, if your quality wasn't great and your customer service wasn't great, and it had well, if those were the cases, you probably still wouldn't be in business. You wouldn't be here.
I would have failed.
You would have failed a long time ago. That said, your customers understand that they're getting a premium product. So like $5 is not such a big deal if if you're already expecting to pay a premium price.
Right.
But if your product sucks,
you'd be dead in the water.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nowhere to go but down.
Yeah, and I thought that might be a problem in my case, but it wasn't, man. These folks didn't even bat an eye when I raised my prices. They were like, "Okay, that's the new price. We'll still order it."
Now, how many pieces? I don't know. Like, I'm sure it varies, but I think it's very cool. I mean, they're also charging their their retail cost, right? So the eventually, like, the customer is still going to buy it. Like, from a consumer standpoint, if I'm expected to pay, like, if I'm comfortable paying this particular premium price for a premium quality or for a premium good, I'm going to continue to pay for it as long as it's not like an exorbitant markup, because I understand that things aren't what they were a year ago.
Right.
And it doesn't change people's demand for quality. I think my very wise brother once said, never get off-brand graham crackers. You always get Honey Made. Premium product, man. Once you have a premium product, you can't go to shit.
Right. So I pride myself on just doing the best I can, you know what I mean? And trying to live up to that expectation.
But it's what you built your brand on at this point.
Right.
Like, so going back to that, dude, it is 2:15 and I gotta be up with a baby. I don't know when that baby is going to wake up, but at some point he's going to wake up and he's going to be like, Dad, I want to talk to Dad. And my wife's going to wake up. She's going to be like, where were you? You were in the garage. Get the baby milk.
Right.
You owe me. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for
Dude,
hitting me up tonight.
Man, thank you so much for your time, Jeremiah. Thank you everyone that tapped in. Bryce, if you ever want to come back in and talk to me about with Baphomet or an alien, I'd love to have you on. We can talk on private over Zoom. I'd love to hear all about it. Tell me all about it. Effective Mindset, let's get together sometime and let's podcast and talk about life and the universe and all that good stuff. Constantly Consciously, thank you for tuning in all the way from the UK. That's really cool, man. That's really, really cool. That's really fucking cool.
That is cool.
All right. Jeremiah, man, you have the very best day ever.
You too, man.
And what's left of it. And then tomorrow, make it better.
Thank you. You too.
And have a great time in Vegas.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a great night.
Take care. Bye-bye.